What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here, welcoming you to part 25 and the very last part of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Settra, Great King the Imperishable, Khemri Kara, the Great King of Nehekara, King of Kings, Opener of the Way, Wielder of the Divine Flame, Punisher of Nomads, the Great Unifier, Commander of the Golden Legion, Sacred of Appearance, Bringer of Light, Father of Hawks, Builder of Cities, Protector of the Two Worlds, Keeper of the Hours, Chosen of Petra, High Steward of the Horizon, Sailor of the Great Vitae, Sentinel of the Two Realms, the Undisputed, Begetter of the Beget, Scourge of the Faithless, Carrion Feeder, First of the Charnel Valley, Rider of the Sacred Chariot, Vanquisher of Vermin, Champion of the Death Arena, Mighty Lion of the Infinite Desert, Emperor of the Shifting Sands, He who holds the Scepter, Great Hawk of the Heavens, Arch Sultan of Atalan, Waker of the Hyro Titan, Monarch of the Great Sky, or just Sky, Majestic Emperor of the Shifting Sands, Champion of the Desert Gods, Breaker of the Ogre Clans, though that one took a little bit of time, Builder of the Great Pyramid, Terror of the Living, Master of the Never-Ending Horizon, Master of the Necropolises, you'd think that the Necropolises would be included in the Never-Ending Horizon, but anyway, Taker of Souls, Tyrant to the Foolish and the Unfoolish alike, Bearer of Petra's Holy Blade, Scion of Usirian, Scion of Nehek, the Great, just the Great, Chaser, I feel like they should have started with the Great, Chaser of Nightmares, Keeper of the Royal Herat, Founder of the Mortuary Cult, Banisher of the Grand Hierophant, High Lord Admiral of the Death Fleets, Guardian of the Charnel Pass, Tamer of the Lich King, Unliving Jackal Lord, Dismisser of the Warrior Queen, Charioteer of the Gods, He who does not serve, Slayer of Reditras, Scarab Purger, Favored of Usirian, Player of the Great Game, though I assume that's not referring to the Great Game of the Chaos Gods, Liberator of Life, Lord Sand, Wrangler of Scorpions, Emperor of the Dunes, Eternal Sovereign of Khemri's legions, Seneschal of the Great Sandy Desert, Cursorer of the Living, Regent of the Eastern Mountains, Warden of the Eternal Necropolis, Herald of all Heralds, Caller of the Bitter Wind, God Tamer, Master of the Mortis River, Guardian of the Dead, Keeper of the Obelisks, Deacon of the Ash River, Belated of Wakers, General of the Mighty Frame, Summoner of Sandstorms, Master of all Necrotects, Prince of Dust, Tyrant of Araby, Purger of the Greenskin Breathers, Killer of the False Gods Champions, Tyrant of the Gold Dunes, Golden Bone Lord, Avenger of the Dead, Carrion Master, Eternal Warden of Nehek's Lands, Breaker of Joff's Bonds, Voice Taker of RuinusInsight, and many, many, many more. Wow, okay, I need a drink. Give me a second. Okay, well, I'm gonna lose my voice halfway through the episode because of that, but good lord. I'm just thinking, maybe that's how they did the voice actors ended up doing the voices for all the mummies, just like do a round of saying Cetra's name, titles rather, a couple of times, then you just start talking like, Summoner of Sandstorms, Master of all Necrotechs. Okay, that actually hurts my throat. But anyway, hey, if it works, it works. Yeah, that was a lot of names. I am curious to know which, well, if you remember, which of Cetra's many titles is your favorite? I am not sure which one I'd pick myself. I gotta say, I do like the Undisputed. It's pretty good. It's not the Undisputed something. It's not the Undisputed Champion, whatever. It's just the Undisputed. No one can dispute Cetra at anything. That's pretty good. Obviously, He Who Does Not Serve is an absolute classic, and it's kind of hard to beat, though I do gotta say that Golden Bone Lord does speak to my sensibilities, though I do have to wonder how many of Cetra's heralds had to be executed for laughing on that one. So, if nothing else, that might put it over the top for me. So I'm curious if there are others that you guys really enjoy out of Cetra's titles. Anyway, we're in the last episode now, at the tail end of the campaign. There's really only two things that we need to do. One, acquire the very last book of Nagash, which is hanging around here, and then of course complete the conquest of the desert. All of Nehekara is ours except these few territories, and there might not even be any actual fights left here, so we should be on them rather quickly. No more building, I think, in this particular episode. Just, oh, I didn't do this. That's why I didn't do that. Alright, fair enough. Yeah, just got to do what we gotta do. So, let's get a move on. Rakash. Oh, looks like you might start with a battle, though. You're right, this army is already nearly destroyed. I guess I'm a little bit curious what the auto-resolve says. I feel like this, if it was at full HP, would be a more fun battle than a half-destroyed army, even if there are some elites under Warband and it is himself. It is probably more threatening to fight an actual full army than it is a severely damaged one. This one I could probably just wipe out with mostly spell work, but anyway, we'll give that a shot in a sec. Let's see what we have here in terms of, oh right, other than Dune Rider, you don't really need anything, do you? I guess we could get the casualty replenishment rate just in case we get damaged here. Why not? Why not? What about the Lich Priests? Also, 1 point available to you. We'll start moving towards Vicious Curses, I guess. I don't really... Well, you know what? Actually, let's get a 2nd point in Doom and Darkness to get the area version of it. The leadership reduction can potentially be helpful if we need to get the enemies running away from our extremely fragile carrion. Grab Incantations of Preservation. And let's see what the auto-resolve says about this. Go into Great Dynasty stance like so. And valiant defeat and casualties. Alright, fair enough. Well, I mean, perhaps unsurprisingly, the auto-resolve is not giving too much of a favor to the various super fragile carrion or the Tombbarks, because, you know, they're support units. You're not really expecting them to do a crazy amount of damage. But at the end of the day, they are still like sort of a mini Mortis engine. Obviously nowhere near as powerful and not self-healing, but, you know, still pretty solid. Anyway, I guess we're fighting this then. Fair enough. Tomb Fleet. This may be your last fight, so you better enjoy it. Alrighty, here we go. We talked about coming full circle, Slaneshi Giggle, last episode, I think, and I think that's kind of gonna be the same thing here, as in the very first episode of the campaign, we started off easy with a smaller battle, and we'll start off the last episode of the campaign with one as well. The Tomb Fleet moves towards the enemy with the carrion overhead, and getting a little bit of range damage on those Mangler Squigs, but I don't imagine they're going to be too effective. Oh, we can see them pop off and kill some of these skeleton warriors that got summoned. And yeah, technically we shouldn't have these in this army because it's the Tomb Fleet army, so I don't know where those guys would be on the water, but you know what? Shut up. the skeletons get summoned by the Disciple of Usirian thing that the mages have, so it just happens sometimes. Sometimes you just summon skeletons, just like real life. Anyway, now the battle starts as we move forward towards the enemy. The Savage Giants getting hit by the Spirit Leech, and our units of boats are a little bit more blobbed up than I'd like them to be, but there was a reason. In this particular battle, we wanted the big boys, the trolls, and the giant to move towards the boats and had to guarantee that, and so we blobbed them up so that the enemy would move and allow our units of carrion to obliterate the enemy artillery and then start coming down on the other enemies as well. Our great eagles have come down on the boar boys as well as the, I think it was just the boar boys, and well, actually this one's helping out against the boar chariots, boar units, let's say. And otherwise, the enemy is pretty much surrounded. That Usek's incantation of desiccation is down, and the enemy has effectively 0-0 melee attack and defense until it's up. But it certainly gave us time to dish out the damage. The boats are still surrounded, but the enemy's having a bit of a difficult time dealing with them, and all the while, any enemy units that are isolated are getting mobbed by carrion all over the place. And this unit will be attacking and certainly hitting back, and, well, one of our units of carrion took a bit of damage, losing 7 of their number. But carry on, carrion, as, well, you've no choice in the matter, really. And yeah, as we can see, without Usek's, as soon as it drops, our carrion do start dropping. But that's kind of the whole concept here. A really useful spell for allowing these guys to do damage. And of course we have Soul Blight to follow it up as well, but Soul Blight is also in a smaller area, and that's why we wanted that blob. Anyway, looks like Gorbad has been defeated by King Rakhash and his army destroyed as well. Oh, wow. Look at that. We almost hit the 3rd level of the Realm of Souls here. I guess due to the... oh, it's because we have 2 mages, so they both use their Disciple of Usirian summon, and therefore it makes it more likely. Huh. If, well, the carrion are unfortunately not numerous units, so it's unlikely we suffer enough casualties even, well, if we use them correctly to activate the 3rd level of the Realm of Souls, but it would have been ironic that the Tomb, if the Tomb Fleet had gotten it. Anyway, there we go. Just wanted to see Mr. Gorbad taken down. Maybe we'll get another fight for this army, and just because I feel like that one could have been auto-resolvable, but always still fun to see it in action. Alrighty, there we go. You know, at the end of the day, it's probably not such a bad thing that we ended up getting the Tomb Fleet army as one of the last armies on the field. The problem with it is that no matter how much better it is, and then the army it's facing, the auto-resolve will always despise it because of using carrion, which are stupidly weak units, and the support units, as I was saying, and before the battle started. And it looks like the auto-resolve doesn't, you know, sort of take into account the fact that we have 350 winds of magic power reserve, or the fact that our carrion and our, well, to some degree the Tombbarks, but mostly our carrion are significantly more buffed than they would be in their sort of natural state, although for anything undead that sounds weird. But anyway, as for how the carrion did, coming in at 8,000, this one did the best, but it's one of the unnamed ones. In fact, I think it's the only unnamed one. Flock of Jav, of course, did beat it, and then of the named ones, it's pretty close, but Carry On My Wayward Sons and just plain old Carry On slightly beat out the Last Visages, Light Beer Enjoyers, and Keep Calm and Carry On. And the Tombbarks, I believe we only have the Wanderers of the Dead Sea named, and they got 10k damage, which is more than all the other Tombbarks. Appropriate. Solid work out of the Great Eagles, despite the red line lacking of red line buffs. Their bleed application, and general speaking, damage was solid there. Lovely. We will, I guess, bind souls. It doesn't really matter what we do at this point. I feel like Gorbad's defeat rate was bad, wasn't it? What was it again? Oh yeah, this. This is atrocious. This is absolutely atrocious. I'm disappointed that SFO didn't do anything about that defeat rate, because that is just... I don't know, man. I don't know if it's the worst defeat trait in the game, but it's pretty up there. Alright, Relic Sword, doesn't matter, you're gonna go over here. We could maybe take Blacklaw's Lair, although there probably won't be too much of a need now. At least we got a battle that we wanted. You, Scorpion King, go and make sure you hunt down the Black Arcs, I think. I don't want them hitting these territories. Not that at this point in the campaign it really matters, but, you know, principle of the thing and all that. Oh, is it gonna wreck our Scorpions? Hey, it didn't wreck our Scorpions for once. I am shocked, and whatever the opposite of appalled is, go and... Oh, just out of range of the other one. Oh well, not a big deal. And then as soon as you stop moving, we'll move Lamizash as well. Surprised that you were just out of range, but oh well. Alright, Lamizash, go to Pig Barter, please. And, ooh, hello, Omnamba. What you doing out here, Omnamba? You are combining shades in big numbers in Bloodrack Medusa, huh? Some of the more, the strongest units in the Dark Elven roster. Pretty solid combination. Oh wow, they're just spamming Bloodrack Medusa, aren't they? That's kind of interesting. Probably because they have... Huh, but they didn't build a single Bloodrack shrine. I wonder why. Huh. Yeah, I guess in this particular territory, at least in Pig Barter, they only have those. I do wonder what they have in the other territories anyway. I imagine that we can auto-resolve this, but before we do... I mean, these guys defeated 4 enemy armies at once, after all. Is there anything that we need to get you? Well, I guess we were moving towards Desert Strike. Oh, you're rank 16. Oh, you got your rank 50. You got 16 points, huh? Good for you. It's a shame that his yellow line wasn't reworked to give him, you know, range damage, considering he's the only sort of bow lord that we have, but oh well. Over My Dead Body doesn't do too much for you, though admittedly nothing else does here either, so let's just do Desert Strike. Disciple of Walat does nothing for us. We will get the extra HP out of an Embalmed and Elixir. And you know what, Restful Interment might actually be helpful on you, specifically because of the... wait, do you have artillery? You do. And do you have arrows of Asaf? Yes, you do. Because you're a bow lord, and then, you know, if he gets into melee, this might actually be dangerous to him. Anyway, there's not really anything else that we can spend points on that are useful. We could grab Lightning Strike if we really wanted it. I just don't think we care enough about it. We definitely don't really get anything out of Devastating Charge, but in the extremely unlikely event that we need to charge him into melee, might as well. Not like there's anything else to spend the points on after all. Alright, and then what about the Necrotechs and stuff? Okay, you guys are nowhere near max level, but we might as well get a few points for you. Alright, so you're gonna grab... Are you guys on chariots? You are on chariots. Let's get your armor. Probably more useful here than the Desert Strike we have. We are the elite. We should also go through Blade Master and Conqueror, and we don't really need capacities anymore, so I'm not gonna bother with those. You... And go through Conqueror, Tomb Strike over My Dead Body, start moving through full plate armor and on to Desert Strike. Huh. Oh, you have 3 extra points? What did I spend points in for you that I didn't on the other guy? Not that it really matters. Oh, I didn't get this line. Alright, because we already have all the capacities we could ever need. Alright, you can grab Onslaught. It should help with the auto-resolve, and... might as well just get Exorcism. Probably not going to get too much use out of it, i.e. any use out of it, but, you know... Principle of the thing and all that? Alright, good enough. Alright, let's have you pop into no stance, just attack Omnamba. And obviously, yeah, close victory, low casualties, we're way past that at this point in the campaign. We'll heal you up in case the enemy are hiding yet another army out there. And who knows? Oh, we could attack Pig Barter directly. It does have solid defenses. You know what, I'm gonna leave you guys there one more turn. I might do one last battle with Lamizash, but if they have another army that's willing to move in, I'd rather fight them both. And then if they run, if they decide to be cowards about it, then we'll just ignore them. Anybody else need to move? King Alcazar. You've already had effectively the toughest fight you'll ever fight in this campaign when you fought against Arbol. So I doubt that we need to, frankly, take any more territory with you, or even seek out fights. We could even abandon these so we don't have to deal with them. I think that's the better way to do it. I was originally planning to give them to the elves, but you know what, maybe why bother? Just less admin this way. Not like we were looking to keep them, just to raise them, turn it all into ruin. Anyway, that looks good. Who's up next? Jocht. You, with an army that will probably never see the light of day, unfortunately, but that does mean it's an army that will have to start next time I play the Tomb Kings, as in get this army up and running early next time I play Tomb Kings. Generally what I like to do. Admittedly, one of the reasons that, like, this army, which is the Petra army, I wasn't too crazy about in the sense that, A, we need a specific lord to get it up and running, which is the Fire Lord, but B, in terms of its functionality, it's very, very similar to a few of our other armies, and just that it's using Bastiladons with solar engines instead of the Screaming Skull catapults. In fact, due to the presence of the Higher Titans and Ushabti especially, and, well, I guess these guys instead of the Tomb Guard, which is supposed to be replaced by the other Fire Green Skulls guys. And just not enough in sort of... I don't know, I was just gonna say, it's not really interesting enough, but more like it doesn't differ enough in terms of functionality from the other armies for me to care about it that much. If it did, then I'd probably attempt to get it out there a little bit sooner, or would have attempted, but like I always say, I never expect to get every single army composition done in every single campaign, and we got most of the ones we wanted. Anyway, I believe we're ready to end the turn, so I'm gonna skip on by and go. Alright, Rampager, Standard Storm, Necromancy, Dynasty Research. Alright, the Sphinx buffs, since we want the Sphinx army to have a nice final fight, let's get them the Herald of the Sphinx, shall we? I believe we never did that, did we? Yeah, because they didn't really need it, admittedly, but may as well get it. And then there was also the Herald of Khemri, which I was going to give to Khalida originally, but then we kind of changed her composition, though she'd still benefit the most from it due to the presence of 4 of the Bone Giants, I suppose. Nonetheless, it's not super critical at this time. Cetra, I think you're just going to ignore all of this. I'm going to send you northward a little bit. I don't know if we can find a good final fight for you, because there isn't really anything too threatening left out here, but we'll travel through the territory, maybe move up northward a little bit, see if we can spot Grimgor or something, and just for fun. What the heck? Oh, I saw the yellow icon of these guys' faction. I thought for a second that was the Sartozan icon, and I was like, wait, what? How's Sartoza there? Anyway, Bellagar. I'll try to head towards you with Hakor. I would like to get Hakor his last fight. He's been a star through the course of the campaign, so may as well. Plus, I really enjoy his army. Panet, what about you? Oh, let's see if this auto resolve doesn't screw us over. Well, Wadi El Tuareg, don't kill the Tomb Bark. Yes, it's not going to kill the Tomb Bark. It will damage the Tomb Bark and the Necrotect. Wait, why did it hurt the Necrotect? This Necrotect is not on a chariot. He's on foot. In what possible way would it... Why would the... Okay, that's just... I don't even know. He's not on a chariot, guys. He's on foot. He is actually slower than all of our other foot. So he's a support unit who would be the last into combat and has some, well, decent items as well. Lots of healing, regeneration. I don't know. Don't ask me. The auto-resolvement's insane. Walk off. Keep doing your thing. Go to Al Rahim Dunes, I suppose. And that will knock out these fools. And there wasn't anything left of the faction anyway. Like so, and yeah, we're obviously not fighting that either. Occupy. Lovely. Alright, Sarah Desert, and there we go. Cult of Mordig destroyed. They really should have accepted Cetra's clemency. Worship of SF, I guess, and not that we're gonna bother with the building. Alright, Settra, I don't know whether you're needed, but we may as well send you northward a little bit and see where you end up. Go this way, and then Sehaket go through the sea like this. Alright, who still has to move? Rakash. I mean, you could besiege Blackclaw Lair. I mean, it's gonna do the same thing where it says that that the army would lose, even though I think we all know that it wouldn't. You know what? Besiege it.
Fallen men,
Just on the principle of the thing, because I don't like the fact that these guys have taken territory in the Badlands. They will sally out, but again, this army is our newest army and it hasn't fought at all. Well, other than twice, but might as well maybe give them one more fight. Anyway, I don't like the fact that these guys occupy any territory in the Badlands, and thus, as these are our vassals, and thus this is all Cetra's territory. I mean, everything is Cetra's territory, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let's just level up a teensy bit more. For the fight, let's get you... I'm going to say start with Conqueror. Hard to hit is always also nice, but the single entities aren't really the stars of the show here. Oh, we'd be defending if we... Yeah, okay. I was going to say get Onslaught, but if we're going to be defending, then it won't be really helpful anyway. You can go for Magic Stability. Actually, no, I lied. We want to get Winds of Time maxed out as fast as possible. Cooldown reduction is always nice, and I believe we want to combine that with Experienced as well, but only after we grab Vicious Curses. And I don't think we need Patraz. Alright, good. Who still needs to move? You! Where did... Oh, they're running. Oh, wow. And while running, looks like they can move considerably faster than we can. Don't really care about the rats out here, but you can go to Swamp Eater Camp, I guess. And... Alright, I guess we could give these guys a chance to fight. They didn't run, and they're out here, and they've got a solid garrison. An elite garrison, dragons and all that. We don't have the Bone Giants to knock them out of the sky, even if we do have the Ushabti. And Lamazash is a pretty fun army with all those Ushabti. Might as well get in one more fight, if they don't run, that is. Again, Blade Master for you. And you are going to go Desert Strike, max out full plate armor. You... probably still want to get towards Vicious Curses. There isn't anything critical here. We do use Banishment just to do a little bit of area denial and annoy enemy range units, but I'm going to say Winds of Time first. Alright, let's see if they're willing to play. And that they are. Pyrrhic Victory, medium casualties, Blackguard, Executioners, Dread Knights, 2 War Hydras this time, together with a Black Dragon, and just a whole bunch of Medusa, which are pretty obnoxiously strong units, so should be fun. Go. Alrighty, here we go. We can curse them, I suppose, but, well, we can shoot arrows and skulls at them. Well, the skulls are cursed, so yeah, you know what? We do curse them in some way, or at least chuck curses their way. Anyway, as I was saying, here we go. We're going to move the Ushabti with Great Bow forward, and of course, Lamazash himself getting ready to plink away at the enemy with his solid 1.1k missile strength, and the poison application can help slow the enemy down while they move towards us. Obviously, this is the smaller of the enemy armies here. And it will be another 40 seconds until the rest of the elites actually get here. Let's see how much damage we can do to those critical targets, i.e. the piles of Medusa, before the enemy arrive. They do have more Medusa than we have Ushabti with Great Bow, but they don't quite have the range that we do. And we can help out a little bit with a Shem's Burning Gaze, hitting this Blood Rack Medusa for... I think the Medusa got hit at the same time by the Shems as well as the Ushabti, because I don't know how she managed to lose like 80% of her HP so quickly. This one did get focused down by several Ushabti with Great Bow, so that one does make a lot more sense. Anyway, the Medusa are firing back now, those rail guns smashing into the Chosen of the Gods as well as one of the Necrotects, but the enemy are down to half of their Medusa. And I think we should be able to carry the day against them decently well, especially if they want to waste their fire on the Necrotect. It's not doing any damage to them, and it's just, as in the Necrotect, and it's just staying nearby. If you're wondering why, it's to provide the missile resistance aura to the Chosen of the Gods and all the other Ushabti. Up to 43 missile resistance is pretty solid. Anyway, the enemy reinforcements have arrived on field, but the shootout with the first little army is almost done, as the last of the Medusa will shatter, or rout at the very least. And now we can start working away at the enemy shades with great swords here. Luckily for us, the shades with great swords are short range, so they weren't going to be as big of a threat here as they could otherwise be. Black Dragon moving towards us as well. Unfortunately, it looks like the fire from the great bows do stagger dragons as well, just as the fire from the bone giants does in the other armies. Which is pretty good for us, as it's going to be very difficult for that Black Dragon to actually move towards our army. Speaking of the rest of the army, the Ushabti with Khopesh and the Terracotta Automatons are going to move forward a teensy bit, going to take advantage of those cliff sides that we've got in this particular battlefield. And make sure that the enemy can't get around us, especially with those 2 units of Cold One Dread Knights. Alright, going to block the enemy off a little bit with that banishment, not overcasting it, not looking to do any extra damage really, just trying to get in the way of the enemy, and thus take a little bit more time to fire upon the Black Dragon before switching to the other units. And that's with the Ushabti with Great Bow. Of course, our other artillery has been firing away at the enemy this entire time. Focusing the Black Dragon, however, does mean not focusing the enemy Hydra, which is charged forth and is going to use its fiery Hydra breath on... Ooh, good use. Actually uses it on the Screaming Skull catapults, taking about 35, 40% of their HP, and not too bad at all. The Hydra will charge forth, and we're going to countercharge it with the Hundman unit of Ushabti. I'm going to pop that Foz protection on them to give them 120 melee defense and make sure that they don't get wrecked. Otherwise, it's time for the constructs to march here. The Terracotta Automatons facing off against the Black Guard of Nagaron. What are our stats like on these guys? Well, with the Foz protection, they'll be just fine. 119 melee defense and, of course, healing from Restore. And by the looks of it, plenty of the enemy elite, like the Black Guard and the Executioners and whatnot, have arrived at the front line, and I'm glad to see it, of course, because it means that the battle won't be won just with judicious application of the Great Bow Ushabti. Alright, Dread Knights trying to make their way through the Terracotta Automatons and such, and do a decent little bit of damage to them with our Lich Priest, who moved to their flank and then hit them with a Shem's Burning Gaze. Possibly hitting some of our own units as well, but you know. You gotta spend units to kill units and all that. The bounce power has shifted to about 90% in our favor at this point, and we've nearly activated the first level, at least, of the Realm of Souls. The Cold One Dread Knights are trapped in place due to the Tormentor's Sword, and making sure that we cut them down in as, well, so far as we can. I'm not sure we can chase them down with this particular army, except with arrow fire and with artillery fire. Not that it's going to matter too much, as with that, this battle comes to a close. The enemy army has failed to defeat Lamazash's Ushabti. And both on, or in melee and in missile shootouts, the enemy just failed. Ooh, love seeing those executioners, though. Having seen those executioners. They're the ones that got executioners. But hey, they should at least appreciate it in this particular situation, as if they got killed with a single blow, that's what the executioners themselves trained to do, a single killing strike with their Drake weaponry. And, well, if the Ushabti killed them in that manner, they can only appreciate it, I guess. Anyway, a lovely little fight for Lamazaj. Alright, there we go. A solid little bit of fighting out of the Dark Elves, but of course not good enough for them to overcome Lamazash's Great Bow Ushabti and regular Ushabti and Terracotta Warriors. Definitely fit in nicely with this army, especially since we got to heal them. And with our Necrotect, our Casca did pretty well, 23k, and it looks like one of the Screaming Skull catapults actually outdid it. 45,000 damage on the Ushabti, or the Chosen of the Gods, unsurprisingly, and a matching 26 and 26 on the two best damage doing moving. Units of Ushapti with great bow, including the Hawkeyes of Libaras, and for the Twin Blades, it's the Singing Blades of Joff singing their songs of death for the Dark Elves. Not that they were alive to hear it. Anyway, Hundmen, Hakor's Hackers, Singing Blades, and Joff's Enforcers, and we bid you farewell, as that was probably the last fight out of Lamazage. We will bind the souls. I assume we could just take this place. Mouse is pretty much done. How much movement range? Oh, we have plenty. We could just draw them out, auto-resolve them, and then take Pig Barter. Not that we really care about it, auto-resolve. Even if the campaign had continued, we'd still be gifting Pig Barter away to the Imric Elves, the Knights of Kalador occupy. Alright, and hey, a brass cleaver, that would have been helpful in the early game, and mid-game, and like, just throughout the campaign. Anyway, let's get everybody else moving. Thutep, you, my friend, are moving into position to get your final battle going. I'm hoping against the Sartosans here. Watch Gentleman Jenkins attack him. What do you have in terms of assignable points, by the way? Just out of curiosity? Oh, 11. Pretty solid. Alright, and get your Canopic Jar Hoarder then. And we have... Don't really need this for now. I'm gonna ignore it. We get buffs from Master Charioteers, and oh right, you had Sun-Scorched Bones instead of Stone Sentinels, which is what you need for Necrosphinx. I was originally planning to reset you, but then I ended up not doing it. But anyway, not that that matters much here. And yeah, it's not like you have too many of the other units to buff, and then both of these are Sphinx buffers, meaning we're good otherwise. Don't really need Geheb, don't really need Petra, don't really need Walat or the one you can't say, so I guess we'll just leave them alone. Alright, Indomitable Will, we should at least get Tomb Strike. Hard to hit and Conqueror into Tomb Strike, and let's quickly grab you Ceremonial Bandages. You're definitely going to be vulnerable to missile fire against the Vampire Coast. 11 points on these guys. We have Esteemed Combatant, which is the main one we cared about, so yeah, let's go through Over My Dead Body, Woundmaker. These guys are pretty fighty now. Might as well get you Blade Master as well as Hard to Hit. Good, and then we'll do the same thing for the rest of you. Will I remember exactly what I did? I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. Conqueror, Hard to Hit, Tomb Strike, Over My Dead Body, Woundmaker, Desert Strike, and Hard to Hit. I think that was it. At least that's what we're going with. Conqueror, Hard to Hit, Tomb Strike, Over My Dead Body, Woundmaker. And you have one extra point. Did I screw something up? I don't know, but it's too late and I don't care. Alrighty, there we go. I mean, they have most of the points that they wanted anyway, so all good. Moonmaker, Over My Dead Body, Desert Strike, one more point into Blade Master, I guess. Alright, and then the last of the Tomb Princes, you were the original, yeah, Prince Ratik was originally the Bannerman that was with Cetra. That we eventually transferred to this army because he was too high of a level to, you know, waste. Blade Master. I guess we could do Devastating Charge out of these. Actually, oh wow, your armor is low too. Ugh, Tomb Princes. Anyway, Devastating Charge, I guess, because it's 30, and then full plate armor. Well, they get enough points to put their points into all of that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You... Necrotech, so let's get you We Are the Elite, for obvious reasons. And then Hard to Hit into Conqueror, Tomb Strike, Over My Dead Body, and, well, the armor probably won't help you. Could go for a huge amount of charge, but no, you know what, still get the armor. I really don't expect these guys to be making any kind of difference in terms of the actual fighting. We Are the Elite, like so, and then we'll go for Hard to Hit, Conqueror, Tomb Strike, and full plate armor. Alright, I believe that's it, or at least I hope so. Anyway, Lich Priest of Nehekara, you also have plenty of points. You can actually get Onslaught. I think we'll get some use out of it. Assyrians, I want at least a couple of points, and definitely Arcane Conduit, and definitely these ones that we use a lot. Should probably max out Joff's as well. And, oh! This army doesn't have its banners, does it? I never gave you banners. You have 5 banners that you could use, so we'll do... Ah, I see the War Sphinxes don't have any kind of contact effect, so we could do 4 banners of withering, give them all armor sundering, and then I guess give Thutep... Oh, he already has frenzy. Darn, I was going to give him the frenzy banner. Any kind of interesting banner we could do for you? Melee attack remains quite disturbingly low. We shall see. For now, High Priest into... No, I lied. Trapped Soul and Ceremonial Bandages, mostly for the missile resistance. Alright, let's quickly do 1 and a 2. I think this is the last army that we don't have banners on, so we were waiting for it to travel to where it needs to fight. And yeah, this one's not going for the book, it's going for the Sartosans, or just trying to find a nice fight out here. We're going to have Thutep retrieve the book for us. Yeah, I was going to give him this, but that doesn't work. We also have the Royal Standard of Cetra, but it doesn't really help, although... I don't... Oh, it's assigned unit, it's not even assigned lord. Ah, okay, well then. For this army, not super useful. Honestly, I don't really care about any of these. Do we have a spare banner of Eternal Flame? That'll probably be better. Let's find out. Okay, I lose the Gleaming Pennant because, obviously. Well, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Banner of Eternal Flame, any spares? Yes, we have 1 spare. Perfection. Alright, well that army is good now. Who still needs to move? Khalida, you... If we choose to do another battle with you, we'll have you fight some undead. You should enjoy that. They're vampires over there, after all. Though, admittedly, the only thing that we haven't seen out of this army so far is the army fighting together with Coatl. And it's already such a strong army that it doesn't really need them. I just had them in there for fun, so I'm not super, you know, concerned about it. Either way, Alcazar, you're going to move out of this plagueinated territory and move to where Cetra is, just to make sure that we, you know, destroy Arbol for good. Otherwise, the useless, worthless elves will probably lose their territory. Jock, keep moving. Thutep, keep swimming. And maybe don't suffer attrition while you do. Go here. Anybody else? And that was it. So as soon as Thutep is done moving... Ooh, wait, one other thing while he's moving, just out of curiosity, out of the principle of the thing, Gashazar, 1 more turn until we can upgrade you to tier 5. Fair enough. Not that I really care about it, but, you know, principle and all that. There we go. Skip, skip, skip. And, wait. Did we besiege anybody this turn, or was that last turn? I was gonna assume that was last turn. Oh, right, I was also wondering whether we could just vassalize you.
Is it not enough that you would
trade agreement. There you go. Become vassal. Let's just do it. Screw it, just do it. Why bother wiping them out? We fought plenty of Bretonians.
Bretonians consider our oaths.
There you go. Now we have one as a vassal, and they will soon love us anyway. Alrighty, assuming they don't get killed by Scrag, who has returned here after taking many a loss to Sigvald by the looks of... Oh, hello. Wellity, wellity, wellity. We've got tier 5 at Al-Haik, and a bunch of full stacks. A Wakaf. I have a gift for you, my friend. We were gonna head you over there. Might actually want to use 2 armies for that, an epic sort of final fight. If they stay together. If they don't, then we'll just send 1. Oh, we'll have to decide which army we want to do that with. Alright, we'll figure that out as we go. End turn for now. Alrighty, what do we have? Alright, it looks like they will sally it. One of the Tomb Barks will die if we don't fight this. What do you say, guys? One last fight for the Tomb Fleet? They got the least amount of screen time of all the unit types and such. What the Carrion did at any rate on the campaign map. Why the heck not? Go. I'm pretty sure Rakash said just curse them. I've definitely heard the Lord say curse them all previously as well, so they say both curse them and curse them all. Man, you gotta love the just sort of the look of the Tomb Fleet army, though, don't you? The Tomb Barks and the Carrion flying both below and overhead. It's just solidly cinematic. I do really enjoy it. Is it the most effective army? No. Is it a little bit silly? Maybe, but hey, if it works, it works. And I wasn't originally intending to give this particular army multiple battles in the last episode, but I feel like the other one wasn't a full stack and it was damaged, so this one will round it out, let's say. Anyway, we head directly towards the enemy, blob by the looks of it, and it looks like it's a choke point battle, which actually works quite a bit in our favor. Again, if we force the enemy to blob up around the boats, they will be, leaving their range units open to get torn to shreds by our piles of carrion. That's the plan anyway. Hopefully it works out. Obviously the Orky, not the Goblinoid, well actually the Fanatics will be very dangerous, the Carrion too, but the Orc Error boys are pretty decent in melee, at the very least in terms of doing damage to fragile Carrion. Speaking of Carrion, they fly on in, and the flock of Joff will drop a few of those bombs down on the enemy below. 2 uses of the ability gives them only 25 kills, so not that much, but a solid 26,000 damage for their effort. Anyway, enemies still not completely blobbed up, and a lot of their melee units are running around until we're ready to drop the Usef's incantation of desiccation upon the enemy. We can't drop the Carrion, as they will get torn to shreds if we let them. Super fragile and all that. But it's only a matter of time as the enemy continues to blob up, and yes, we can easily clear this if we want to with a Skull Storm, but I think I want to do this in the real way. Alright, here we go. We're going to start by dropping the Eagles down on the enemy. The Eagles specifically to target the Black Orcs and the Boar Boys, but also to hit the enemy in the back line. Then we pop that Usef's incantation of desiccation, dropping everybody's melee attack and defense down to 0 for 45, I believe, seconds. And it's time to drop the Carrion down amongst all the enemy units at the same time, hitting them in the back, hitting them in the flanks, and just dropping upon them from everywhere, with several goals in mind. Not just the damage, but also the morale shock, because we will combine that morale shock with a few more morale shocks as well. Namely, we're going to cast Doom and Darkness Overcast on everybody here, minus 28 leadership, plus of course the additional morale shocks from the attacks. Enemy's still good in terms of its HP, but the Wa, even if that does give them immunity to psychology, won't save them, as despite having plenty of HP to work with that, the entire army will shatter and the battle is ours. Very, very nice. Yeah, so this is sort of what I was intending with the anti-leadership army. The anti-leadership army in fighting the ogres and then the undead. Well, actually, no, they did get a lot of use out of their anti-leadership capabilities against the undead, and because they forced them to crumble quickly. But against the ogres, it didn't come in too handy. But still nice seeing the concept work in other places. Anti-leadership armies can be pretty fun if you build them to stack that sort of thing. I rarely do because, the forcing an enemy army to rout rather than, fighting is sometimes detrimental, especially for armies that have a difficult time chasing them down, as in the enemy down, but this is not one of those armies, as the Carrion are pretty fast and should be solid at helping out. Anyway, nice little fight, and we bid farewell to the Tomb Fleet. Alright, there we go. A pretty neat fight, actually. We could have used our spells to dominate the enemy in that choke point, obliterating them with a judicious application of Skull Storms, but instead we used the judicious application of Carrion and won the battle by combining various leadership effects. It may not have been or isn't a anti-leadership army, but that was a huge leadership shock that essentially forced the entire enemy army to rout at around half HP, or perhaps a fair bit more. Basically by using the carrion while incantation of desiccation was down to reduce the enemy's attack to nothing. All the carrion landed in amongst them, doing the rear charge morale shock, attacked in rear, plus attacked in flanks, and on top of that we used our leadership reduction from Doom and Darkness, as well as Soul Blight, and all that combined ensured that the enemy army basically ran away, and it allowed the carrion to do a lot of damage, effectively matching, at least in kills, the tomb barks, or if not outright outdoing many of them. Oh wow, well, okay, we did get a few big old bombs off from the flock of Joff, and in fact, let's see, so we got 11k, 13k, 16k, 15k, 13 and 13k, pretty good for a carrion, I gotta say. The Wanderers of the Dead Sea lead the tomb barks with the 22k, and otherwise, the Last Visages, the Carrion, My Wayward Sons, Lightbeer Enjoyers carry on and keep calm, and Carrion all did well. We bid them farewell, as well as the Tomb Fleet. It was a fun little army comp. Let's go for It Matters Not. Alrighty, there we go. Seasoned Campaigner for Rockhouse, channeling Steph. There's that Herald of the Sphinx, another Wood Elf Confederation. They've been doing those a lot lately, which is neat. Yes, Dynasty Research, Herald of the Sphinx. We'll follow that up with the Underworld Gate to hopefully max out the Sphinxes there. You, grab that Herald, would ya? Lose the Highborn of Khemri. Okay, good luck finding the Heralds there, Ruin. Okay, that was actually not as bad as I thought it would be. There we go. Alright, let's see. We got 140 armor now on the War Sphinxes. That should rise even further anyway. You leveled again. Presumably, yeah, 1 level per turn now everybody's gaining, thanks to all the bonus levels we're getting. Anyway, you're gonna keep moving towards Thantis Tor, where these guys are arrayed. Should allow us for some fun. Oh, wow. Oh, I was not expecting that at all. They don't actually, yeah, they lost Sartosa to the Spirits of Cesario out of Cesario Wood and Lucchini. What the heck? Wow. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that. Certainly I've never seen it on Old World. It's pretty interesting. And Moors is still running around. Anyway, Cetra, heal up but keep on moving. There's nothing here that's worth fighting. No tier 5 garrisons. You can I guess just kill these little garrisons and then erase them after? Or, you know what, auto-resolve and then maybe occupy and then abandon, just so we don't have to, you know, deal with your public order constantly, or public order. Your, a replenishment constantly. Anyway, Panet, go to Nazar Dunes. I'm approaching these guys too. Alright, another quick little auto-resolve, and these guys are starting to run out of territory for Gambler's Armor, and go for, I know, Worship of Asaph. Does not matter, we were gonna trade all this territory anyway. We should really send somebody up here. Alright, Thutep. Well, keep going, fast as you can, and then Seheket, you can go this, attrition. Alright, how dare you. Alright, go like this, I guess. Alright, who else is down here? Wakaf, you are down here. How could I forget Wakaf? If he wasn't already a pseudo-legendary lord, Wakaf would be added to the community canon for being such an absolute star. But he's already Wakaf of the First Dynasty. Yeah, alrighty. Hakor. What are we looking at here? I see Bellagar still sitting in Carrick-Ziflin after foolishly having declared war on us. So these guys are probably going to move to try to take these territories. We do not care about them at all. I'm just looking for some nice final fights. Let's see if Bellagar is too cowardly to... Oh, wait. Is this a non-walled settlement? It's a minor settlement. Oh, I guess we could just fight this directly. And well, isn't that fun? Actually, speaking of Hakor's army, where are we here? One sec, let me just do the levels. Conqueror. Definitely hard to hit. Tomb Strike over my dead body. You are on foot, not chariot. Since you're on foot, I guess we could give you a wound maker. Starting to hit pretty hard. Not bad. Maybe can actually do a little bit of damage, even if we can't expect you to do all that much work. And, oh, Hawkcore's been maxed out for a... Oh, wow, you don't have items, do you? So, you don't have regen. Alright, fine. We have the spare jars. Let's just quickly give you some items. Huh, did I forget about this army? Armor of Eternity. And then I guess the Collar of Shakara. I assume you're missing a talisman as well. Okay, so Hawkcore himself is fine as he is. You are indeed missing a talisman. Alright, let's get your Collar of Shakara. Like so. And I assume you have a Blade of Antarhak and a Hieratic Jar. Hieratic Jar, Blade of Antarhak. Yeah, okay, everything's fine. Alrighty, so we got you. Collar of Shakara and Armor of Eternity. Alright, lovely. Now you have regen and all the healing you could hope. Before we start the battle, somebody asked what we ended up doing with the... with that stolen Screaming Skull catapult, which is this one, the first one in this particular line, and I ultimately decided to name it the Lash of Thutep. So as usual, I asked for suggestions, and I've combined several of those suggestions from the comments, as well as my own ideas for what this thing is going to be, as it will be forever sort of immortalized on the channel as part of our community canon / community lore. For those who are not familiar, Thutep was Nagash's brother, who Nagash had murdered and entombed along with his royal guard, as one does. But anyway, my own ideas in combination with your guys, but what I figured was I wanted to make this about Thutep in particular, just because I figured it might be entertaining, especially since we got this at the Black Pyramid of Nagash. And then the other idea I had was I wanted something a little bit like an undead hell cannon for this thing's lore, like a kind of semi-construct with a little bit of undead body horror type deal for this. So here's what I came up with. So the Lash of Thutep, basically when Nagash was reborn and Cetra marched to meet the necromancer at the Black Pyramid, mid-battle one of the catapults on Nagash's side began hurling its magical projectiles not at Cetra's great host, but into the rear ranks of the necromancer's forces instead. When Nagash was ultimately routed and forced to flee to Cripple Peak, the siege engine still stood, the bodies of its former crew seemingly crushed beneath its bulk. The mummified remains that had been lashed to the catapult for an eternity of torment were no longer lashed. With the twin blessings of Asaph and Usirian, their souls, indeed their very bones, had fused with the catapult, taking control to enact one final act of vengeance in the name of their king. Whether they were remnants of his royal guard or family members or simply loyalists is not clear, but the heraldry of Thutep's household remains deliberately visible upon the bony body of the catapult. And so, while those who served the great necromancer Cetra commanded to be destroyed utterly, he decreed the siege engine, thereafter known the Lash of Thutep, be recovered and restored for their loyalty to their liege, which I'm sure Cetra appreciates. Anyway, that is that. The Lash of Thutep will now forever be in the community canon. Bellagar, you're up next. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Looks like we've got a choke point battle, and usually that's very much to the advantage. Did you just get in the way of the Casket of Souls? Come on, man. Anyway, very much in favor of the dwarfs, generally speaking, as dwarfs can hold a heck of a choke point, but unfortunately for them we do have a Casket of Souls, which should make sure that it's not quite so easy for them to take advantage. If the casket would actually fire. Yeah, I remember in this battle that the casket for some reason was having a very difficult time getting a single shot off. Yeah, I'm not entirely why. I'm not entirely why. Well, I'm not. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure why. Nothing seems to be blocking it. Weird. Sometimes range units are kind of buggy though, so you never know. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off if the casket doesn't want to fire with a quick little use of Skull Storm in the midst of the foe, and then starting to drop these screaming skulls down upon the enemy. Going to start on the enemy quarrelers, of course, and then follow up with switching off of those as soon as our army, or at least a part of our army, is ready to move on in. Down here we have the Ushabti with the regular units of the Hakaran warriors led by the Dune Dervishes, the ghostly ones, while the single unit, our single golden host of Mahrak, which is usually all the way in the back line, there to use their extreme tankiness to defend our artillery pieces, are going to head towards the entire second blob of the enemy. In fact, I think this is more like 2/3 of the entire enemy army here. There's good reason for that. The super tanky unit of the Golden Host of Mahrak will be distracting as many of them as possible, A, while we fight the enemy here, and the Ushabti now wade into the fray, and B, we've been hiding our extremely fast-moving Hawk Legion of Cetra in the trees. And just look at those skeletons run 65. Move speed allows them to close the distance with those slow-moving dwarfs very quickly. And there we... oh, yeah, the skeletons look funny when they run. Oh man, I wonder what these guys would look like if they were able to move at like 100 move speed. Might be neat. Anyway, the Hawk Legion closes the distance. I wanted to say Sphinx of Usek, but just regular Necro Sphinx, the Soul Harvester, moves towards Bellagar Ironhammer, though as to whether it can actually do anything against him, I'm not so sure. Bellagar is an extremely tanky lord and a small target at that, so 135 melee defense is a lot to work through. Looks like he has not taken a single hit from the Sphinx, while the Sphinx itself has lost about 40% of its HP, and we're going to have to keep track of it or keep an eye on it to make sure that it doesn't die. I'll look at a little bit more on this side of the map. If you're wondering why, it's because it's brighter over here. We're a little bit more in the shadow under the mountains or the clouds or whatever the heck. On the other side, or at least we were. Now, yeah, we're still fairly shadowed here. And I like to see what's going on. Not that we couldn't predict what was going to happen over on the left flank either, or on the left choke point, as the Ushabti have torn through the dwarfs over here, and the bounce of power is very much switching in our favor. Yeah, Bellagar absolutely obliterated that poor Necro Sphinx, taking no damage himself, while the Necro Sphinx nearly died, so we're going to back it up and allow it to restore itself. All the while, though, while Bellagar was distracted by that, we've charged on in with the Nehekara horse, which are doing a little bit of damage, but mostly just trying to tie up the quarrelers as the enemy outnumbers us here, and making sure that they can't fire. In the meantime, the Golden Host of Mahrak is helping to hold, and the various units of Hawk Legion of Cetra are tearing through the ranks of the dwarves, several of which are on the verge of collapse, having done maybe 10%, or actually not so bad, 30% damage to another unit. Longbeards with great weapons, okay, makes sense, so they were able to pierce the armor to some degree. But the Longbeards are out, and the Thunderers are tied up in combat. The bounce power has shifted to about 85% in our favor, and I'm willing to bet, full HP or not, Bellagar is very much regretting his decision to declare war upon us. His loyal army, which is probably his starting army, is nearly destroyed at this point. I believe we've also managed to kill off 2 of the enemy ghostly units by using our own ghostly units to surround and kill them. Why? Because our ghostly units also have the magical attack. So while our ghostly units are vulnerable to enemy ghostly units, their ghostly units are vulnerable to our ghostly units. The word ghostly units has lost all meaning with the phrase. Ghosts are good against ghosts is what I'm getting at. Alrighty, well, although the armor piercing would be wasted, I guess, for, well, at least Cairn Wraiths and stuff like that. What's the armor piercing on our own ghostly units, out of curiosity? It's actually fairly low. The Dune Dervishes are mostly base weapon damage and not armor piercing, which is a little bit surprising. I do feel like there maybe should be a bit of a moment. Are the Dune Dervishes actually ethereal? They are ethereal. So yeah, surprising that they're not completely armor-piercing then. I feel like they should match the Karen Wraiths or such, but then maybe they'd be too powerful. But then again, it's only a single unit in the Hekara Warriors. It's effectively like having a single unit of Karen Wraiths available to you. Not that it matters, or not the dwarfs will care, because they'll all be dead soon. The bounce power is just a sliver now, 95%, and most of Bellagar's army is in the process of shattering. In fact, there it goes. Bellagar himself, of course, remains at nearly full HP, but he is not unbreakable, and his army defeated, he will shatter, and the battle is ours. Very, very nice. Definitely one of those lords that you usually don't want to waste your time at dealing with in melee, Bellagar. Maybe knock him out in range, but if he gets into combat, it's better to just ignore him. He doesn't kill enough to sort of warrant wasting the resources on dealing with him when you can just cut down the rest of his army. I suppose if the enemy had equipped him with the Rune of Spite, he might be likely to do a little bit more damage, but otherwise, a very nice little fight, and let's see how he did. Alrighty, there we go. A very nice little fight against Bellagar, who had all those veteran troops and, well, admittedly not enough rangers, only the 2, considering how he buffs them, but, well, it's not like he was doing too well in terms of taking 8 peaks anyway. So, yeah, and again, he shouldn't have declared war on us. Hakor did pretty well, 30,000 damage. We got a little bit of fighting out of our single golden host of Mahrok, which, due to the slowness of the dwarfs, didn't have to guard the artillery this time around. We got 28k, 13k, 22k damage on the artillery pieces. Constructed Criticism and the Wardens of Jet got 9 and 17, which is decent. Soul Harvester, unfortunately, couldn't do much here. It's an anti-large specialist, and there was really no target for it. And Bellagar, credit where it's due, just had way, way too much defenses to overcome with that single Necrosphinx. Great job out of the Storm Riders of Kassar. Khemri's Derby champions and Skullstorm Racers did at least some moving around, but because it was a choke point battle, we didn't rely on them having to rear charge rather, or cycle charge the enemy all that much. Great work out of the Corsand Corsairs, Dead Ark Corsairs, and the Dune Dervishes, which essentially, together with the Ushabti, kept one side of the battle busy, while the units of Hawk Legion of Cetra cut the enemy apart. And the super speedy skeletons with 200 kills and 29k damage got the most, but the Lizard Liquidators and Blades of the First both did very, very close as much, all hovering near to 230,000 damage as well. A very, very nice work for all of them. Really enjoyed the Hawk Legion units, as once again they move as fast as slow cavalry do, or heavy cavalry do, which really allows us to do some fun stuff with those aptly named super speedy skeletons. Very fun. Oh, and we bid farewell now to this army and the Lash of Thutep as well, though not forever, at least where that one's concerned. Lovely. And if we wanted to, well, I mean, we basically have 8 peaks for ourselves already. Not that we were looking to capture it. Huh, you've actually... Sadrina. I wonder if you'd be willing to fight the rats if we transfer this to you. I don't think we care that much, but nonetheless, also the the insult that Cetra does to the dwarfs by giving 8 peaks to the elves now, just for foolishly declaring war on him, is also kind of amusing / entertaining to me. So why the heck not? Elves, enjoy your 8 peaks. And of course, Bellagar's dead now too. Anyway, lovely. What else do we have in terms of this turn? Rakash. Okay, you don't need to move anymore. I mean, I think you're good. There's nothing else out here that we're probably going to bother to move towards. And Lamazaush is good as well. In fact, let's just move those armies that we might still want to fight with, though we shall see if we can get a good final battle for Khalida. Although I'm not super worried about it if we don't for her in particular. Otherwise, Cetra's good. We got to keep moving Thutep and co. So Thutep, you are going out here. And already drawing close to that thing, and Thutep is in position. Did I move all of these guys? Getting near to that last book, and I do believe I did. Not going through the list anymore. I think we're ready to end the turn, or at least I assume that we are, because I'm going to end it. Wait, did I lie? No, setup was moved. Huh, we have a lot of armies down here. Go figure. Alright, anyway. Skip, and commandment available. Sure. Worship of SF, end turn. Actually, you know what? Worship of Ksar instead. For the melee defense. Alright, there we go. Could have actually pieced out with Bellagar if we wanted to, but I don't think we care enough to do so. Refugee influx control -10? Are you insane, game? What is this? -10 control? Not enough to bring us below positive increase to control, but still, that's pretty crazy for a debuff. And how many turns was that for? I don't care. Anyway, what else do we want to do? Let's see. There was a buff to the Sphinxes, wasn't there, that we could do? It's not one we really care that much about. Well Adorned Howdas gives us the bonus versus large burn, bonus versus infantry reduction, but more importantly the movement reduction that it offers the Sphinxes. It's just that it's not the most relevant. I guess we'll get it going. Let's move you in. Does this thing have defenses, I wonder? Adds walls to the settlement. You know what? I'd prefer if you landed and if you fought Aranessa and just attacked her. I wonder if you can land here. I think we should be able to land here next turn. We won't suffer attrition? You know, I'm not going to risk it. Yeah, I'd rather fight them in the field because obviously the AI is atrocious with the Vampire Coast in settlement battles. Anyway, Cetra, I guess you can suffer another turn of attrition. Trying to find a final battle for you. I'm not going to guarantee it because there's no guarantee that there's anything good left here since we killed everything. But you never know. We could see what's going on at Rictus's capital, maybe. See if there's a full stack there. I doubt Trudge himself is there, but you never know again. You go to Bakr Oasis. Doesn't look like these guys can move towards you. Again, it's a lot of armies. I wonder what's in them, as in the actual troops there. Colonize this just because you can. Pop off that Storm of Necromancy, and then build up. Let's move everybody else on in. Oh, I wanted to send an actual army to Pyrrhus, I guess. Wakaf, I want you to move towards Chaos. You've been killing Vamps and the Forces of Chaos for a while, but maybe Ogres are somebody else's purview, I guess. Possibly, at least. Anyway, Sekaket, you're not a real army, so I'm just gonna hover you here for now. Otherwise, yeah, Jokta's never gonna bother reaching anything. Thutep, you have a book to find. You know what, I'm not going to risk moving him in March stance just because I don't trust it, because Aranessa might attack. We've got 2 more turns or so before we reach the book. Probably going to be the final fight of the campaign. Did I not? Oh. I completely forgot about this. It's been like 2 turns. Oh, wow, of course it so heavily damages this army. Out of resolve. I know it's carrying, but still, out of resolve. Come on, man. What are you doing? Anyway, you sit there. Alright, so Cetra's good. We can, I mean, I guess we could move you around and keep taking these territories just because we can, just periodically abandoning territories. And yeah, we could give them to Emmerich, but I honestly don't care enough to bother. At this point in time, at any rate. Otters, really? Huh, I wonder if they'll sally out. I'm not gonna bother because obviously that's a horrible, horrible waste of time. Anybody else? So Lamazaush doesn't need to move. Khalida, you can keep on moving this way, I guess. See if there's anything interesting over here, though it looks like King Nishkopra is moving out to there. And I believe that's it. Sounds like an end turn to me. We're just getting into position for the final fights of the campaign. So skip, 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 end turn. Laborers of Jar destroyed. Not our problem. Withered Eye destroyed, presumably also not our problem. Alright, now, where are we headed? So, Thutep, you can now land, I take it. This is not going to take all your movement range. By the looks of it, no. So we're gonna have you fight in a second, which also means we're presumably safe to march stance, full speed stance, whatever, with Thutep. I'm gonna assume that you can land here. Like, this isn't cliffside or anything like that. At least I hope it isn't. And what do we have in this army, just out of curiosity, that's holding the last book? It's okay. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but at the same time, you gotta remember that the units here are powered up more than they normally would be because it's a special army. Mortis Engine? Ugh, really wanted those for ourselves. Blood Knights are always nice and stuff. And yeah, funnily enough, this was the book that we probably wanted the second most, at least in the early game, because it gives us that army capacity +1. Although the best one is obviously the 50%... Where the heck did it go? This one. Effectiveness of all commandments out of Lamia. It would have been nice to have the extra army at some point in the game, but anyway. Cetra, keep looking around, see if you can't find something nice to attack to have your final battle of the campaign. And what do we have in terms of this? I mean, Panet, stay here for now. You can certainly reach those enemies. Well, they're not enemies yet, I guess. And ow! You gonna take attrition here, Walkoff? Why? Oh, chaos attrition. That's so rude. Alright, go into Entomb Beneath the Sands then. You stay here, set up, keep moving this way. Oh, I would actually prefer it if these guys did not, in fact, take out a Rigil. But anyway, I guess we could move you in march stance. I don't think you're actually particularly afraid of Scrag the Slaughterer, but just in case he attacks us, maybe we'll want to... maybe we will want to level up. Also, we got a new tech available to us. We did the Sphinx buff, or one of the Sphinx buffs. We will not bother with the other one, at least there's no need. Let's go Augmented Scales of Assyrian to buff the Hyro Titans further. And we don't really need the Herald of Khemri right now. Alright, so set up. Let's level you. You have 12 points. Alright, that's nice. That's real nice. I don't know that you have any extra points. We should at the very least get you hard to hit and probably Conqueror. Maybe there's nothing here that you actually want. Again, you have not a lot of points to play around with. Dune Rider doesn't really do anything for this particular army. We already have Revered Masonry and Arrows of SF and Sun-Scorched Bones. So that portion of the points is good. I will want Returned in Madness for the physical resistance and Embalmed in Elixir for the hit points, and I guess the same actually is probably true of Over My Dead Body. Plus the speed isn't a bad thing, although it's probably more critical that we get Ceremonial Bandages. Yeah, alright, let's go for... Actually, is it even worth it to, for the 6%? Maybe it's better to just get Blade Master for the rare occasions where you fight in melee. Yeah, screw it. Let's just go for Restful Interment. I don't really expect this guy to fight in melee all that much since he's a caster lord. Maybe could have put another point in Usex's Incantation rather than Restful Interment, but I also don't care enough to redo it. So we're just gonna go with what we got. You guys. Alright, hard to hit Conqueror, Tomb Strike into full plate armor, Over My Dead Body, and Desert Strike. Probably could have done Over My Dead Body first, but all good. Hard to hit Conqueror, Tomb Strike. We maxed these out. Yes, we did. Alrighty, and Over My Dead Body. Did I do Woundmaker before? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Alrighty, and then you. We could do Onslaught with you. We have Vicious Curses, which is nice. I don't care for Purple Sin of Zeraeus, but I do care for spamming Soul Blight, so we're gonna go with that. Magical Stability is not a bad pick. Let's go Ceremonial Bandages, Trapped Souls, and Magical Stability then. And then start putting points in experience for the additional cooldown reduction, specifically for Spirit Leech. Alright, looks like you guys are in a good place. Okay, again, we'll attack with you in a second. I just want to make sure that we move everybody else into position before we do, because then we can end the turn right after. Kalita, keep moving in march stance. These guys may have like a dozen armies there, possibly. Or they may have none, depending on whether Emmerich successfully killed any of them. We shall see. How are the elves doing? Well, Sadrina is not sad anymore because she's been taking territories out of 8 Peaks. And now, Queeky, what are you doing over there? Maybe we could take Caragrin from you. Sort of reduce the places these guys can go, I guess. Oh, I forgot about Nagash's. Okay, let's, okay, I'll resolve this for obvious reasons. Alrighty, and then don't collect the income. Let's upgrade Nagashazar to tier 5. Where is it? Tier 5 for you. Lovely. And I guess we can collect income now, not that we care. I mean, we're up to nearly 2 million free. Panat, oh, right now you're sitting pretty for now. I believe that's everybody that needed to move. Oh, would you look at that? I wonder if these guys are attempting to go to the Portal of Twilight. They wouldn't be able to take it, though. Might be able to besiege it. Maybe they have another army on the way. They could attempt to go past it, or at least teleport past it. Huh. Well, we can always send Panat back there if we really desire to do so. Anyway, all of the desert is very, very nearly ours, but for now, we gotta get those sphinxing. Anyway, you've gotten 4 points in the time that... Okay, wait, maybe we should... that's fine. Over my dead body for the additional HP, always lovely on these guys, and then go for Wound Maker. Oh, actually, I lied. We want Embalmed and Elixir for the additional hit points as well, so now you can go over my dead body. Beautiful. And I guess we level up the Tomb Princes as well. Alright, let's just do Devastating Charge on all. In fact, okay. This is one of those rare situations where it might be faster to do it this way if I can actually find you in here. Alright, Devastating Charge. Devastating Charge. Devastating Charge. Because I don't usually have this many heroes in one army. And you can go for Blade Master. And then what do you have? Prince Ratik. You have Blade Master and Conqueror. Max out full plate armor. And, oh, all your fighty stuff is good now. I guess Infamous Legion? Sure. Alright, what about you? Full plate armor into Desert Strike, easy enough, and then you can do the same thing. Full plate armor over my dead body, Desert Strike, and you. We have Onslaught now, which is what the main thing that we wanted. Alright, start going through Runic Staff. Alright, looks good to me. You guys about to have some warring. Declare war. As one does. Oh, they're trading with Nakar. Isn't that cute? Let's see how the Sphinxes do against them. This should be really interesting because we don't have enough Sphinxes to sort of send against all of the pirate gunnery mobs, and that's where the issue will come in, as they're all going to be very threatening to them. Should be fun. Who knows? We might not even be able to win it. Remains to be seen. And I did give them the Herald of the Sphinx, so I do believe we're good to go. Go we shall. Alrighty, curse them all indeed, and all those guns, which I'm sure are going to be a great threat to our Sphinxes, though we've at this point gotten our regular War Sphinxes up to 180 armor, which is pretty solid. I'm certainly going to take advantage of that. Anyway, here we go. Once again, happy with the Jet Lions in here as well. If we were intending to eventually go for a second fire army, I probably would have gone for some Jade Lions. Anyway, we're actually going to allow our Lord to lead, partly because he's very quick, quicker than the regular War Sphinxes, and because I think he can absorb a little bit more damage than they can. And there we go. I'm gonna pop off that, ooh, very nice. At least it looks cool. The missile mirror. And the enemy will start firing upon itself a little bit. It's not a very long-lasting spell. It looks like some of the enemy will just stop firing rather than continuing to do so while that missile mirror is up. Alright, well, in the meantime, we have closed the distance. Both of our Necro-Sphinxes have moved towards Aranessa herself, just to put her out of her misery so she doesn't, you know, have to continue using her non-animations while on top of that crab. I hope if that, well, I hope that they do eventually take another look at Sartosa, because it shouldn't really be in Vampire Coast in the first place, and should probably be moved to Dogs of War, but anyway, I hope if they ever take a look at Sartosa, they will redo Aranessa's animations. Because I think hers are the worst ones, right? In that she just stands there completely immobile on the rotting Promethean. And I think it's made worse by the fact that she has awesome animations when on foot. Just all spinning around and crazy kicks and flips and all sorts of stuff. And it's just completely still on this. And yeah, it's a symptom of the game 1 and 2 when they, especially 1, but also 2. When lords and heroes on mounts basically did nothing, but nonetheless. Alright, anyway, here we go. The reinforcements have now arrived, and that's a lot more guns. Our lord has been taking hit after hit and is down to 50% of his HP, but we are still very much in the fight. We have taken a fair bit of damage from those deck droppers several times now, as the enemy has been trying to use them to focus down the... I didn't mean to go to attack view. Has been trying to use them to focus down the necrotects, interestingly enough. Actually, probably a pretty good choice, considering we have them here to support our sphinxes. But I digress. We will take down the, well, these guys as best we can. Don't have much in the way of anti-air, but a little bit of missile mirror and the occasional incantation should hopefully eventually bring them down, especially because deck droppers are pretty darn fragile. Though their damage is absolutely not to be underestimated, I really enjoy using deck droppers, especially in SFO, when playing Vampire Coast. Anyway, bounce power is pretty much even at this point, and now our Sphinxes are bounding forward, trying to essentially spread them out a little bit, as we want to engage as many of the enemy zombie pirate gunnery mobs as possible, so that they aren't firing. Ruinous, I believe, has fallen to the blades of the twin Necro-Sphinxes. And we are certainly taking damage, especially to the Jet Lions, which are going to be a little bit more fragile, a little bit more fragile than the Sphinxes, but that's alright. Several of our, or most, let's say, of our Sphinxes have at this point blobbed up. I wanted to make sure that we give them the Leader's Command and the Reanimate and Neru's Incantation while they're all together. Take advantage of the time so that everybody can absorb a little bit more in the way of hits, of increasing their effective HP considerably. I'm going to drop down another Skull Storm. We've clipped the deck droppers, and the idea was to kill them, but they're in pretty bad shape as well, and the other units of deck droppers, well, one of them has been destroyed, and the second one is going to get hit with another Usirians. Slowly but surely bringing them down. Or maybe not so slowly, we're about 5 minutes in, which is pretty solid, but the enemy army is in pretty bad shape. By and large, we've managed to engage most of the enemy range units, or otherwise have been able to blob up and not take too much damage to any individual unit. In theory, this army was not intended to be a Death Star sort of army, and that's why we had a sort of an individual unit, an individual Tomb Prince assigned to each individual War Sphinx. But in this particular fight, at least towards the end of the fight, it warranted going back into Death Star. Obviously, we couldn't have started in Death Star because we needed to separate in order to make sure that we distract as many of the enemy range units as possible. And if we were blobbed up like this and not tying up those range units, we could have taken a lot more damage. I mean, we saw our Lord drop down to half of his HP. How's he doing now, by the way? Nearly full. Beautiful. All that region and everything is helping out, and that, keep in mind that despite the fact that he's on a War Sphinx mount, it doesn't count as a construct, so we can't heal it or anything like that. Or at least we can't heal it with the restore ability that the Necrotects have. But that's okay. Neither can the enemy restore, and it looks like there won't be too many of them anyway, as the bounce power has shifted fully in our favor, and it's now just a matter of time. The last of the zombies are in the process of disintegrating or otherwise being stomped by the piles of kitties. And the battle is very nearly ours. Alright, last of the enemy falls, and alright, this is Sartosa, so they do have a couple of living units, but all good. Quick little chase down, and a nice final fight for the Sphinxes. Alrighty, there we go. Despite the definite threat posed by the giant piles of handguns of various types, looks like we were able to pull it off. Though there were a few moments where we were suffering a fair bit of damage, we were able to recover with time. For the Sphinxes, Khemri reanimated, got the most kills and damage by the looks of it with 36k, but I'm sure Kitty, Gilded Cat, and Anka were not too far behind. Riddle me this, got 24,000 damage, slightly, I forgot to name, slightly out damaging the other Necro Sphinx. We got 21k damage on Thutep himself, and a solid 918 kills and 114,000 damage on the Lich Priest, as we certainly needed the Skull Storms there just to deal with the sheer number of enemy troops. 20k-ish for the Jet Lines, which was pretty helpful, plus they did help out a little bit with those missile mirrors. Even if we didn't expect them to do too much damage, they were at least preventing units from firing for a little bit of while. For the Tomb Princes, we can't see their names here, but it looks like, let's see, 10,000 by a hair. It's the second Tomb Prince, who we will bid farewell to in a second. I just want to see which Tomb Prince that is. And the second Tomb Prince is Prince Ramses the Man in Gauze. So we bid farewell to him and Prince Little Bone and Prince Ardeth Bay, and I believe Anlashun was a generated name. And passive regeneration we're fighting at sea. Yeah, all of our lords have regen without considering fighting at sea. You know what? That actually... You know, it would be really simple to make Aranessa's trait not as garbage. Make it so that it's not regeneration when fighting at sea. Make it so that it's, I don't know, super regen, well, not super, just basically the same thing, but don't have it be regeneration, so that it can actually stack with other forms of regeneration, and thereby might actually be of at least some narrow use. Anyway, we are going to now take Thantis Tor, which will of course damage our army much more than the actual battle did, but there we go. Nice little final fight for King Thutep, and on top of that, it wipes out the Pirates of Sartosa for good. Isn't it lovely? Alright, we can go into Worship of Asaph. It doesn't really matter, and then... God, stop upgrading Ruinous. Come on, man. Alrighty. Headed to Kevin. Kevin Bachman here. But I believe we can do that next turn, so let's skip, and end turn. Wait. Yeah, okay. Skip turn, end turn. Wafail's Red Cloud. Oh no. Whatever will we do? Why does the game keep telling us? You really don't care. Anyway, Walkoff, you are not able to reach the... We could use it as a reinforcement, and I bet they'd fight. Ooh, this one army alone has a great Chaos Dragon. Yeah, but Walkoff should really be the attacker rather than Panet. I mean, Panet does have this... he does have some Ushabti with Great Bow, which is nice as well. Walkoff is reasonably quick moving. Yeah, Panet's army is a lot slower, so maybe, yeah. Anyway, we'll deal with that in a second. Oh, actually, out of curiosity, did we ever get the... oh, right, I forgot to mention this, or maybe I did already, and then I forgot that I did mention it, but anyway. Yeah, so somebody pointed out in the very beginning of the campaign that Old World is actually missing some pyramids, so we can never unlock these in Old World, which is unfortunate. Mainly for, I guess, this, but we're not really using the Skeleton Warriors and such. Frankly, if we had this, maybe it would warrant using them a little bit more. And this is definitely necessary if we want to play Khalida, so I gotta be on the lookout for that. And next time, as we will want to eventually run Khalida with the Tomb Kings, there's some decent stuff in there. Oh, right, the chariots really would have been nice since we are using those chariots, but, well, what can you do? And our Necrolith's Call for Bone Giants, frankly, I don't see it actually being used here. Oh, you know what, let's do Adorned Sarcophagi. Get a little bit of the buffs for the... It's not all Necro Serpents, it's just Necropolis Knights, but hey, you know who needs more power-ups? It's the Venom Knights of Asaph. They don't get enough kills and damage every single battle. 1,000 kills and 100,000 damage and whatever. Anyway. If we wait for that, these guys would have the power up, but I'm not sure that we care enough about it. About waiting for it anyway. Cetra, let's see. You are not quite at Crookback Mountain, but you'll reach it next turn. Hello. Oh, it's just Toxer. Actually, that's a pretty nice army there, Toxer. Huh. Are we at war with these guys? We are not at war with these guys. I wonder if they're... Oh, and Gribbletown is a tier 5? But oh, that might be a nice final fight for Cetra. Yes, alright. Declare war on these guys. Yes. I sincerely doubt they'll attack us in the field. But if Gribbletown's a tier 5... and Toxer goes there, that'll be a pretty solid stack. So yeah, Cetra, stay there, sit in, I don't know, it's your... Yeah, you're maxed out. Alright, fine. Sit there. We'll see what these guys do. I like it. I like it a lot. Alrighty, everybody else, let's figure out where you're going currently. So Thutep wants to get his final battle against Scrag the Slaughterer, and we'll be able to do so next turn by the looks of it. And these guys will take that, and then all of Nehekara will be ours. Book. We cannot reach you in one turn, eh? Alright, that's fine. Land here. Are we trespassing? I don't even really care for trespassing. It's their problem, not ours. These guys can't attack us, right? Because we should, in theory, need to level these guys up. In theory. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Alright, so you're fine as you are. You will probably head down here. Oh. Was Humpa Makreka. I don't really care about Ziflin, but I guess we could just pop this little army there to ambush the enemy if they move in. And just based on the principle of the thing. Queek is still around here. I was hoping that the elves would deal with him, but I'm not so sure that they are. Also, you can have Kavin Veer while you're at it. Like so. More 8 peaks for the elves. Alrighty, how are we looking out here? So, Imric is definitely... Yeah, look at that. Our allies are actually fighting. I wonder, if we besiege the Fortress of Vorag, will all of these guys attack Khalida with 4 armies, plus the elites out of the fortress? Got at least 2 Blood Knights and 2 Terrorgeists out of that. I think that's what we'll do. Pyrrhic victory from just this alone, although I think it's really underestimating Khalida's army again, which it should really stop doing. Alright, let's level up. And, oh! I never did the items for you. Oh my lord, okay. Necrotect, and... what else do we have here? Lich Priest. Okay. Alright, so we'll need some Collars of Shakara, at the very least. You need an Ouroboros, Mr. Tomb Prince, although I'm pretty sure that we already have a spare. We don't have a spare, do we? Collar of Shakara, Ouroboros... Of course we don't. Okay, come on, Ruinous. Come on, man. Alright, fine. Real quick, just gotta do this. Because we will get attacked. Okay, we have enough Armors of Eternity. We need... No, we have the Blades of Antarhawk on everybody, so we don't need to do anything there. Ouroboros. Yeah, let's get one for the Mage anyway. Wait, what have I been doing for the Mage before? Let's give him the Hieratic Jar. Although it actually won't be of any consequence in this particular battle, in theory. Mortuary Robes. Alright, and then the stuff that we need a lot of is Colors of Shakara. 1. And, get to the end, 2. And a 3. And a 4. Wait, did we need 4 or 5? Okay, I'm just gonna make another one just in case. I think we had 4 heroes in this army, but I'd rather not risk, yeah, we had 4. Alright, fine. Tomb Princes. Alright, let's start with you, and then let's find Khalida in here while we're at it. No. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so Tomb Princes, you need basic armor. Oh, wait, there's only one Tomb Prince. Ouroboros for you, so that you can have the poison application. I think we'd get more mileage out of that than the, that's fine. We still can use the battle healing cap. Basic armor. You can have an Armor of Destiny, I guess. We have some spares, and Armor of Eternity will do nothing for you. Destiny for you. There you go. the lone Tomb Prince in this army, and then did I skip the colors of Shikara? Yes, alright. And next we have the 2 Necrotects. Alright, so both of you can have some of the spare armors. Armor of Destiny. And, oh. Yeah, Khalida, relax. We'll get them. Just give me a minute. Collar of Shikara, and, oh, you should have hieratic jars. Do we have any spare hieratic jars, I wonder? Yes. I'm gonna find out here. And let's take a look at hieratic jars. We have 1 to spare. Oh, that's gonna bother me. I'm just gonna give them potions of healing because I don't care enough to deal with the hieratic jars. And then you. Oh, you can have the spare hieratic jar. Aha. And, yeah, keep the Forbidden Rod. We're not going to be able to activate the Realm of Souls. It's just not going to happen. Alright, Collar of Shikara. Hieratic Jar, and then basic armor, I believe I said mortuary robes, if I can find them in here. Well, funnily enough, you don't have regeneration, so maybe, you know what, let's just give you another armor of dust. Nope, armor of eternity. There we go, alright. Now, oh, we stopped. I should have done their points at the same time as doing that. My bad, guys. Alright, let's just do this real quick. At least these are easy. Woundmaker into, I don't know, let's go for Blade. Oh, it's already maxed out. Shut up. Devastating Charge and Full Plate Armor. 4 points remaining. Let's go to Infamous Legion, I guess. And then the rest is really quite irrelevant. Let's max these out, I guess. Will we ever be under siege? I doubt it. A little bit of extra leadership and defending. Why the heck not? Alright, Necrotect. Blade Master. Okay, you probably don't have enough points to get everything we want, so let's go for Woundmaker and Over My Dead Body, and then into Desert Strike, and then max out Conqueror and Blade Master. Alright, then next one. Probably could have gone for the armor, actually, but, well, too late now. Woundmaker and Desert Strike and Blade Master, and we have 1 more point remaining. I just max out Woundmaker. I've already started on it. I'd like to think that Khalida's Necrotects might be a little bit more fighty than your bog standard Necrotect. You can get 2 points into Syrians, get Winds of Time, and Experienced for the cooldown reductions. And we got 2 points remaining, exactly enough for Ceremonial Bandages and Trapped Soul. Don't attack it, besiege it, so that once we end the turn, we can hopefully have ourselves a nice little fight. And speaking of fights, I guess we do this one then. Alright, pan it. Oh, okay, fine. Wait, don't tell me you're missing something. A talisman. Did I make a spare Collar of Shikara? I did. Good job, Ruinous. Alrighty. And do you have a Helm of Discord? Just keep it. Alrighty, that's fine. Hard to hit for you. Woundmaker. Let's go 3 points in armor on you. And then Blade Master now. Alright, and then walk off. You will reinforce for once, but that's just fine, I'm sure. I'm gonna go right here. I guess he'll suffer attrition, but it's all good.
Now is chaos.
I'm actually surprised to see that they got a greater Chaos Dragon or a Great Chaos Dragon. Alright, ooh, the artillery is gonna be annoying. The enemy does have the Hell Cannon. Anyway, you have a Necrotect that's fairly leveled. Alright, let's do Desert Strike. Then we will go for Blade Master, max out Woundmaker, then go for Full Plate Armor, and I guess Devastating Charge as well. And then who are you? Lich Priest. That's maxed out at level 50. Isn't that cute? And get Betrothed, it's actually useful on you. And then max out Vicious Curses, we'll go for Experienced, may as well also get Magic Stability for the miscast-based chance reduction. Max out Useks, and I'm gonna say Ceremonial Bandages. Frankly, it didn't really matter which one. And time to go. Alright. Second last fight within Hekara, the last one being Setup's last fight next turn, presumably. Assuming they don't run and we just auto-resolve them. We shall see. Anyway, declare war. Who are you friends with? Do we care? We do not care. You're not actually friends with anyone anyway. Alright, Panat and Wakaf will share their last fights. Allies Jew refuse to join them as well. Well, let's hope they don't run. Beautiful. Close victory, medium casualties. We got a great Chaos Dragon and a ton of enemies generated. Oh, we got 2 great Chaos Dragons. And some aspiring champions. Lots of Beasts of Nurgle all over the place, plus the Rotting Riders. But, well, frankly, I would expect Wakaf could handle himself alone, considering the odds he's beaten in the past. But, you know, sharing is caring and all that, I guess. Go. Alrighty, here we go. I am very excited for this because it's very rare in my campaigns generally that we get to fight with multiple armies at the same time, as in multiple of our own armies. Well, with some exceptions, you know, Skaven and several other factions might have follower armies, maybe some zombie armies for the vampire counts, but anyway, relatively rare a thing, and certainly rare in this campaign, as we didn't have it. We had massive borders in Cetra's empire and not enough armies to spare. So it should be fun commanding both Panet's army and Walkops at the same time. We got 3.5 enemy stacks working against us as well. Anyway, I digress. We gotta wait until the reinforcements, both ours and theirs, arrive, so we will begin by pincushioning the enemy as best we can. Gotta bring down that first enemy Greater Chaos Dragon, or Great Chaos Dragon, I should say. Though it does look, it seems to be, or does seem to be fairly resistant to the fire from the Ushabti with Great Bow, judging by the fact that they've all been plinking away at it, and it hasn't taken all that much damage. Alright, well that's just fine. We're gonna switch targets a little bit, fire off a few more shots, but then start backing off behind the main line. Since the enemy reinforcements are here, it looks like ours are here as well. Gonna hit that Chaos Dragon with a couple of Shem's Burning Gazes with the from the Hyro Titans, which take it down another 25% of its HP. Get a few more shots off, though it does look like the enemy fast movers are just about ready to move on. And demonettes, as well as those Seeker Chariots, and, well, I mean, it's a Slaneshi faction. Most of their stuff is fast moving. And lots of stuff is about to close the distance, and what the heck? That wasn't me. The enemy why did you use Searing Doom here? Huh. That's interesting. I wonder why I did that. Maybe I had previously been attempting to charge the Necropolis Knights towards this guy and then stop them to intercept the chariots, and maybe the AI was predicting their path, to judging by their speed, and dropping the Searing Doom here. Otherwise, why the heck else would they drop a Searing Doom there? I don't know. Weird. Tremendously weird. Anyway, speaking of Greater Chaos Dragons, or Great Chaos Dragons, one of them has, the second one rather, has landed in our back line in an attempt to kill off our Ushabti with Great Bow. Walkoff loves a good fight, however, and has arrived on the battlefield heading directly for that Chaos Dragon and smacking it for about 15% of its HP with his first blow. It's also trapped and surrounded by Necropolis Knights, so it's probably not going to have a particularly good day. Otherwise, the battle lines have clashed, demonettes, and, well, frankly, lots of different stuff, facing off against our Tomb Guard and Necropolis Knights. And something of a second front has opened up as Walkoff's army has arrived, and the units of Sepulchral Stalkers are going to do their best to hold off any enemies attempting to flank us. And of course firing away at them with those poison shotguns of theirs. Alright, looks pretty good to me. Walkoff has by and large brought down the Great Chaos Dragon, which is down to 30% of its HP. But the battle is very far from over. Enemy reinforcements are very much still arriving on the field. We got more than a full stack coming in as yet. And still plenty of fighting to be had. Always love to see those laser eyes from the Ushabti. And of course our Necropolis Knights, we could see the enemies go flying, continue to be a menace through the enemy ranks. I'm going to chase down and hopefully quickly destroy as many of these Marauder horses as we can, otherwise our own skeleton horse archers will have to deal with them. And frankly, it's just faster to allow the Necropolis Knights to deal with them instead. Looks like over on the left flank, or secondary front, whatever we're calling this, Walkoff's army has very much held off the enemy that attempted to rush them. And by the looks of most of those Marauder units, and whatever else may have come their way, have been destroyed and or are otherwise attempting to rout. Walkoff, in the meantime, has, I believe, killed off a first of the enemy lords, I want to say. Or is this a second enemy lord? I don't know. Either way, he's been defeated and is attempting to escape Walkoff, and maybe he can. He certainly should attempt to do so. 109 weapon melee attack, pretty solid on you as well. Well, not to worry, we got more enemy lords where that came from. We'll just have to duel them too. Considering his penchant for hunting enemy lords and heroes, Wakaf, I think, might have killed more lords and heroes in this campaign than Cetra has. Though you probably don't want to tell Cetra that. Well, Cetra probably counts every lord or hero killed by Wakaf to have been killed by him. As in him, Cetra, but anyway. Unbalanced power is at about 90% in our favor, but reinforcements are still not only making their way onto the battlefield, they're very, very slowly marching towards our alliance. Looks like Wakaf has found the second or third enemy lord who, okay, we just went from 100% HP to 50%. To 40% to 20% and is just booking it on out of there now. Alright, well, I don't think any of the enemy lords are going to have an easy time attempting, I should say, to deal with Wakaf, nor that Chaos Spawn who foolishly moved into the path of his twin blades. Down goes the enemy lord and Wakaf cheers, awaiting the next of the enemy lords to arrive over for a duel. Our Necropolis Knights move forward, slither their way towards the enemy Forsaken and Beast of Nerd. We're going to do a little bit of damage, but then either reinforce with Tomb Guard or otherwise back off so that they don't get too surrounded, like so. Also got to be careful about those who shop to you with Great Bow. They can very easily dish out a lot of damage to our own units. It looks like the left flank is by and large secure. Most of the enemy here have failed, and they'll be able to reposition the units on this side fairly soon. If you're wondering where the skeleton horse archers are, we've been essentially using them like regular archers in this particular battle, just positioned behind our main force. And it's working out decently well. Considering the sheer number of fast movers the enemy has, I figured it was kind of risky or disadvantageous to use them in such a way where they could easily be caught, especially since you can't trust skirmish mode. And I really wasn't keen on babysitting all 6 units while fighting the main fight, you know? Alrighty, well, it looks like Slaneshi and Nerdlight Marauders alike are getting obliterated here. Good for them fighting in harmony, though. And, wouldn't you know it, Wakaf has found himself yet another duel somewhere in here. Yeah, I saw the enemy lord was in here, but I guess he got knocked back somewhere. Probably slightly safer for him anyway, that way. Oh, there he is. Huh. I don't know how I missed all those glowing weapons, but I guess all good. Anyway, still in the fight. 8 minutes in, pretty solid, perhaps unsurprising considering the sheer number of enemy forces here. But the Chaos Gods may be infinite, but their mortal followers are surely not, as the mortal elements of the enemy army begin to rout and the demonic units at last begin to melt away. Heck of an epic confrontation between all of these guys, though, and we're just going to quickly make sure that we banish what remains here. And maybe even cut down the enemy lord. Should be able to auto-resolve the settlement after this. I imagine we will have killed off or otherwise heavily damaged most things. Anyway, there we go. With that, the last of the demonic units. Oh, well, we still have a unit of Chaos Spawn, which is not a demonic unit, but it is still here, so. Alrighty, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is just running from Wakaf. Maybe we'll just let him. Wakaf can just quickly cut down a few Chaos Spawn instead. And there we go, a spawn with every blow by the looks of it. Very nice, very nice, and not much to say anymore tactically. The battle's over, just waiting for the unbreakable units to be broken. Alright, Wakaf, let somebody else get something. I'm pretty sure you just killed every single one of those spawn himself. But anyway, if it works, it works. With that, the last of the enemy units melt away, and the battle is very much ours. Ooh, and the last of the enemy lords, I believe, that had survived in this particular battle, moves to... Oh my lord. Moves towards a unit of sepulchral stalkers and gets exploded into bits. Beautiful. Alrighty, there we go. Certainly an epic fight with so many units on the field, but neither Panet nor Wakaf had any kind of issue. Wakaf, of course, cutting down enemy lords as usual as soon as they was able to actually close the distance with them. Our snakes did well. 27,000 damage, 31,000 damage, pretty darn solid. Ushabti with great bow, around 25k, 22 and 16 for the units of the Hyro Titan. Obviously, the Necropolis Knights were absolute stars. 43k, 32, 37, and 41. Very, very nice all around. And I do believe that'll be the last fight for both of these armies. So now we bid farewell to Panet and Wakaf, as well as the spooky skeletons, sand skimmers, dune surfers, imperishable effigy, scales of eternity, sun piercers, silent watchers, all bones on deck. The undying guard, grand protectors, sepulchre sentinels, the marrow legion, guards of Ra, Wakaf's hunters, biting sands, snacky snacks, solid stone snakes, and I believe all bark, no bite. And there we go. And the eyes of the desert, of course. Lovely. Very, very nice, both of you, especially Wakaf, over the course of the entire campaign. Blind the souls. Yeah, what a great fight. I was really worried that the game would crash there, to be honest, but it looks like we were able to escape that fate. Actually, before we start the next battle, I should probably quick save so that it doesn't, you know, the episodes certainly aren't long at this point, and will continue to do so. Best not let it crash now, especially. Can you please resolve what remains here? Looks like nothing should be destroyed, but of course we suffer like 50 times as much damage as we suffered during the actual fight. Occupy. Alright. And the desert is nearly ours. Free Talisman of Preservation, and these guys will be stuck with a Storm of Necromancy as well. Alrighty. And normally I'd, you know, trade this to Cetra, or to Cetra, everything to Cetra. Cetra trades to Cetra. Thanks, Cetra. Yeah, trade it to Xandria and the other guys, but, you know, just pretend that I did that. Alright, I think we moved everybody else, so I believe we're ready to end the turn, and, well, see if Khalida will get a final fight against all of these guys, or whether they'll be too busy dealing with Imric and whatnot to attempt to deal with us. We are besieging their capital, after all, so here's hoping. What do we have here? It's been a while. Alright, no need to use any of those. Let's skip on by, and let's end that turn. I don't even care about the commandment. Alright, I gotta say I wasn't expecting that, but this is kind of pathetic. I was hoping to fight Scrag over at the enemy settlement rather than him attacking us. Obviously, it's just a giant pile of nobblers, and it's pathetic compared to the fight that Thutep had last against the multiple stacks of vampire counts, so we're not even going to entertain the notion and just auto-resolve them all to death. I think they knew that they had nothing left in them anyway. Alrighty, it looks like the Sires of Morcane will indeed decide to go for Khalida and give her one last final fight and include the Coatl at that. And look at that. Auto-resolve not killing the Coatl like it was the frickin' Tomb Barks. I'm still salty about that, and I will continue to be salty until this campaign is over, and possibly far beyond that, because I hold a grudge. I definitely hold a grudge. But anyway, Greybeard's Prospectors, looking at you, though I don't want to. Disgusting. Anyway, go. Alrighty, here we go, certainly escalating a little bit in terms of the enemy armies. Went from 2 at once to 3.5 with Chaos stacks, and now to 4 stacks from the Vampire counts. Should be fun for Khalida's snakes, and Admittedly, I'm curious to see how much damage and how many kills the Venom Knights of SF are going to rack up this time. Although there are a decent amount of elites coming in from the third or fourth reinforcement. We shall see. Anyway, Khalida will move forward by herself towards the enemy lord, who apparently does not want to engage her at all and will run past, or at least the first time. And we'll get knocked down, taking about 10% of his HP. That's alright though, that might take a while. Let's see those snake charges. There we go. It is a beautiful sight, isn't it? We've seen it time and time again as Khalida fought her way through the territories of the Cult of Sigmar. And we've seen the snake charges through the Vampire Counts when we fought the Cult of Mordig. Though of course those snakes weren't nearly as powerful as the ones in here. And with Khalida's buffs and all that. Anyway, looks like the enemy is sending a Terrorgeist towards us, and this time around, since we're so horrifically outnumbered, I decided to keep the Spokal Stalkers back and have them protect the Bone Giants who have been firing away this entire time. We have various elements of defenses in that manner, as in if the enemy should still close the distance with the Terrorgeists, we still have the Coatl to do their thing. Alright, otherwise we see the units of Necropolis Knights being complete menaces, as they always are. How are we doing here? Only 16 kills on one of them so far, but I guess the battle has only started. And only 55 on the Venom Knights. 35,000 damage. Those are rookie numbers for Venom Knights. I'm sure they will crest 100,000 in this particular battle. Ooh, and it does look like an enemy lord has decided to book it on towards us, rather than duel Khalida. That's his prerogative, I suppose, but closing the distance means you get stomped by a bone giant after getting severely damaged by those Coatl. Speaking of the Coatl, looks like another Terrorgeist has moved forward, and the bone giants were busy with other things, so we'll use them to knock the Terrorgeist out of the sky instead of the crackling lightning all around the Coatl, and they do have the ability to use their Urnon's Thunderbolt as well, just not super helpful against enemy Terrorgeist. Not that they need it by the looks of it, as the Coatl have only lost maybe 5 to 10% of their HP, and the Terrorgeist is nearly done. Maybe slightly unfair, 2-on-1 and all that, but all good. Alright, looks like a bunch of skelly boys have closed the distance over all the way on the right flank with the Spokal Stalkers, and we're going to move other snakes in to help. Run them down by hitting them in the back. Bounce power has shifted to about, well, not bad, 85% in our favor, and the enemy's elite-most reinforcements are now moving their way on the field. Oh wow, we still have plenty of reinforcements. More than 2 full stacks still remaining. So still plenty of fighting to be had. On the bright side, with our Necropolis Knights and our Spokal Stalkers working together, they've created a heck of a melee line, and the enemy is having a very difficult time actually attempting to reach our Bone Giants, who will just continue firing. This particular enemy army, I believe, had also 2, I want to say, black coaches, which would have been potentially dangerous to any of our other armies, but the Snake Army doesn't have any infantry, and thus these things are of no threat to them. Especially since they wouldn't have had time to charge up their Black Nimbus ability and thus become sufficiently tanky. Anyway, big old blob of enemies moving towards us, gonna take advantage of the splash damage on our Bone Giants to do at least a bit of damage to them. But otherwise we'll have to stop firing relatively soon, as we'll want to be able to send our Necropolis Knights forward. And maybe fire at the Terrorgeist instead, which has so far been doing a good job on purpose, whether or not on purpose, of dodging fire from the Bone Giants. Not dodging those though, and it drops down to about 40%, or by about 40% of its HP. Alright, Spokal Stalker's gonna fire away at it, and then we'll slow it down with that Usirian's Incantation down to 10 movement speed. We quickly obliterate it, knocking it from the sky with our living Coatl. Like, who's to say they're not actually representatives of Asaph? Alrighty, well, our Necropolis Knights continue to cause absolute havoc in the enemy backline. The bounty power has once again dropped lower than it was before as the enemy elites have made their way onto the battlefield. Oh, I guess they had a third Black Coach. Good for them. Another one of the Terror Geists was having a pretty bad day, attempting to approach our battle lines as the Bone Giants fire upon it. And our Coatl, in the meantime, are continuing to maintain their superiority against the other. And especially when it's a 2-on-1. Even with the Terrorgeist being an anti-large specialist, we should be able to deal with it just fine. And ooh, something's damaged over there. Oh, it's a Sacral Serpent. It's the summoned units from Khalida, which means it's just fine. Alright, though it does look like some threatening units have closed the distance. The Black Mambas lose about 5 of their units here against the Blood Knights. I don't remember this happening. Could be a minor desync. I guess we'll see. I certainly don't remember a unit getting this damaged, but maybe it did. Everything else is going exactly as it should, I think. Well, we shall see. Either way, the Necrotect is a little bit more damaged than he should perhaps be as well. But everybody else is certainly fighting. I do like the white and... I guess it's sort of... The barding on the horses is just a lot more pristine white than the sort of dirty beige-ish kind of color scheme that we have on the actual units themselves. Makes it look like they perhaps were wearing a white color scheme, but then, you know, coming out of the ground and all that. Or is it actually supposed to be beige with white as a secondary color? I'm not sure. Their shields are white. Interesting. Well, either way, the enemy army is just about done for. Our Sacral Serpents, or perhaps it was a skeleton unit, I don't know, have melted away, but, you know, again, summoned units we don't really care about. And just chasing down the last of the enemies that we can. Or chasing down isn't quite the correct word, just fighting them all the while they disintegrate. Alrighty, and there we go. With that, the battle comes to a close, and it looks like, yeah, perhaps too many units on field at once as it sort of pauses. A lovely little fight, certainly. And I was hoping to get a big fight against the undead for Khalida in particular. Let's see how many kills and damage the Venom Knights managed to rack up. Any bets? Alrighty, there we go. Snake supremacy once again. And, okay, let's just take a look at this nonsense. 1,845 kills and 340,000 damage on the Venom Knights of Asaph. What an obnoxious unit. And this is like the 50th time I'm saying this, but good lord. Obviously with Khalida's buffs and the Lichbone Pennant and all that, but good lord. It's absolutely insane. Khalida herself, no slouch. Her damage wasn't anywhere near as high, but we can see her damage delta's gold value was pretty darn high at 7,000, which is from fighting enemy lords and then single entities and all that. The other Venom Knights or Necropolis Knights were also pretty good. 83,000 damage, 51,000 damage, 56,000 damage, and 61 on the Riders of Kuaf and the Fangs of the Queen. Our Coatl did pretty decently, at least in terms of their damage delta's gold value, as we were using them primarily to establish air superiority against any of the Terror Geists, which, again, the enemy had in decent numbers, and it looks like the Coatl, especially working in concert, did pretty well against them. Rock and Bone and the other Bone Giants hovered around 20,000 damage, but again, damage delta's gold value was higher because they were focused on the more elite units, and then between 30 and 40k for the Black Mambas, high Queen's Venom, Sandstone Serpents, and the Sidewinders for all sepulchral for all of our sepulchral stalkers. Lots of snake units and lots of great work from everybody. And with that, we bid farewell to Khalida and her snake army. Great final fight for her. Alrighty, well, it looks like the strength of the Sires of Morcane is broken, so hopefully Himric can take care of them himself. Shouldn't be too much trouble with him. And similar, we broke Malice's like 5 armies. He was the most powerful faction in the campaign as well, which is pretty good, other than us, of course. Anyway, let's see, we got a bunch of items that we no longer have any use for, and Storm and Necromancy. Okay, game, please. Alrighty. Did I ever upgrade Cetra's? Oh yeah, Reconstructed Crown. We should probably do that. Eternal Sovereign. Does Cetra need more buffs? No, absolutely not. He's already just ridiculous. But just for fun. And again, by virtue of the principle of the thing. Anyway, walk off, kill off these guys just so we don't have to end or deal with them once we end the turn. You're gonna run like a pathetic little coward. Huh. Wait, they ran? Oh, because we couldn't move after them afterwards. Mercy. No mercy. Not from walk off. Alright, I guess we'll just move you two in to kill them together, like so, and this time walk-off will just resolve them real quick. Alrighty, and then just take whatever, I don't care. Alright, good, and Heldred's Casket of Sorcery. A little bit late game, a little bit late, not that I'm complaining, mind. Okay, unfortunately, Mr. Scrag the Slaughterer attacked us. Then we auto-resolved what was here because, well, his army was pathetic and primarily full of Noblars, so we're just gonna auto-resolve him and thereby get the very last settlement in Nehekara, or Araby in this particular case, and there we go. Everything here now is ours. Only the book and Cetra's final battle remain to do. The book we are in range of, and so we will do in a second. And then Cetra, I just would like to see... Ooh, now that's a question. Did they go to Crookback Mountain, or are they sitting at Gribbletown? I do want a nice final fight for you. No. I really wish I knew. If there's a full stack here, we'd be able to drag them out. Alright, let's... Well, actually, no, I'm gonna say we'll risk this, but we'll risk it after we do the fight with Thutep. Giving Cetra the very last fight. Alright, let's level up real quick. We got Sandstorm to max out. Tomb Protectors, we purposely didn't max out. Alright, let's go for Syrian's Incantation of Vengeance. Max out Revered Stonemasonry and Arrows of SF alike. Definitely get Blessing of the Asp. Yes, we want Greater Arcane Conduit. We definitely want Ancient Stone. I don't believe we need... Well, actually, we could get Dune Rider just for the Tomb Barks, if nothing else. Alright, we have Sunscorched Bones. We don't need Elite Charioteer, and then the rest of that looks fine to me. We can, for Thutep, probably still get the Ceremonial Bandages. He's still a little bit vulnerable. Then we can get Soul Blinding, Unyielding Assault for everybody, including Tomb Guard, which is pretty nice. Yeah, too bad we never got any real use out of this. I guess if we had Thutep earlier, we could have given him some Nehekaran horsemen, but we had them and the skeletal horse archers and skeleton horse archers and other armies. Wow, Thutep is insanely point hungry, isn't it? Isn't he, rather? I think he might even be more point hungry than Cetra, which is kind of interesting, but I guess it's because he's a hybrid lord. Well, actually, the spell line replaces his... Fighty tree. Also, it still amuses me, 280 armor. And he actually has a silver shield because it gets bumped up by the war drum there as well. Actually, his melee weapon strength isn't too bad nowadays. Pretty solid, though his regular weapon strength is a little bit low. It's in fact lower than Pandora's box and the other casket because it's... I guess the Vicious Curses have buffed it up more than the sort of general buffs that this guy got. But anyway, here we will probably call for Sekhmet's. Do we need the anti-wounds? I don't think he's going to get hurt. I just really doubt it, considering the, 280 armor and 70 melee defense. Unless he fights somebody like Tyrion or something. So, yeah, we'll just go for this. Anyway, let's level these guys up real quick as well. You can go for Winds of Time into Vicious Curses. We will want Experienced as well as Onslaught. And anything else critical here? Not really. Let's just go through Magical Stability. I don't really care for the Purple Son of Zeraeus. Kind of a garbage spell. Anyway, Occam's Mind Razor, Pit of Shades, and... or at the very least, it's a very unreliable spell. Onslaught. And, okay, actually, I screwed that up. I forgot that we didn't have Vicious Curses with you, so we definitely want Winds of Time and Vicious Curses, and we'll want Experienced and Onslaught. But only after... okay, we want Trapped Soul with you as well. Experienced or Onslaught. Let's go with Onslaught. At least first. Actually, let's max out Pit of Shades, because that is a great spell, or a great vortex, as opposed to the Purple Son of Zeraeus. Anyway, Conqueror and Hard to Hit, Tomb Strike over my dead body, Woundmaker, Desert Strike. We are the elite, and therefore are free to spend the rest of the points wherever we want. So Hard to Hit, go for Blade Master, go for Woundmaker. Everybody's hitting pretty hard now. And you are on foot. So wait, no, you are on a chariot, so you can get a little bit more value out of the plus 30 of the devastating charge, and then go for full plate armor. Alright, and the last book, Thutep. You have been sent the furthest out of any lord, which is appropriate, to go pick this one up. Declare war. Everybody's gonna, fake not joining the war. Alright, and I'm going to quick save it this time, because I forgot to do it before Khalid's fight, because again, I'm very scared of the game just crashing at this point. And now let's retrieve the final book. Alrighty, here we go. Thutep, not Arcan, though I continue to accidentally call him Arcan, is here to get the 8th book for Cetra. I guess it would be inappropriate to call you Arcan, because I feel like Cetra would never let Thutep keep a big hat like Arcan's. But I digress. Anyway, we got 3 Caskets of Souls in this particular army, so that's a lot of potential artillery firepower, though at max distance the ability to actually accurately hit enemies is pretty stunted. On the bright side, it does mean that the enemy will have to take their time getting to us, and we should be able to hit them with a little bit of spell work. The by Shem's Burning Gaze coming out of the Hyro Titans, and of course their Spirit Leeches. Though unfortunately for us, their Spirit Leech is relatively short range, as it's the non-overcast variant. So we gotta move a little bit closer to actually use it. And in the meantime, we're gonna start hitting that Mortis engine. Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma to both damage it and slow it down, and we'll follow that up with Spirit Leech and, well, basically anything we can. Ooh, another Shem's Burning Gaze on this Vargulf, which is down to half of its HP, and the poor thing just keeps getting knocked around by it. Over on the right flank, one of the enemy Black Coaches has attempted to close the distance with us, or perhaps to intercept the Hyro Titan and prevent it from casting its spells. But the only thing it managed to do was get the Hyro Titan to cast Spirit Leech on it instead, because it was a closer single target. Skullstorm comes down on the enemy, in part to damage the ghouls, but also in part to separate the enemy from each other. Vargeist have closed with Mr. Thutep himself, perhaps assuming that they can, defeat him in melee. But they just don't have the advantage they thought they did. 305 armor on him. Huh, how does he have a bronze shield? Wait. Thutep. Surprisingly that he has a... Oh. I take it Silver Shield is 50 plus, but he's at 48%? Yeah, fine. Fair enough. 48% is still pretty good. Not that we really need it against the vampires. Anyway, the Vargheists, unfortunately for the AI, are a very fragile unit, and we simply tear them apart rather quickly. Otherwise, the main lines have clashed. Our nice Sphinx Legion of Numas are sort of the spear wielders and the tips of the spear. Oh, they have death masks too. Oh, I like those. Maybe I should have put them with Settra because of the way that their death masks look. I guess the regular Tomb Guard do as well. But not all of them, right? Some of the Tomb Guards should have, should have like a half face mask, yeah. Well, either way. The undead clash with undead once more. All the way on the left flank, we have Petra's Sunblessed Blades, which are holding off the most of the enemy. And I guess the same thing happening over on the right flank. The enemy Mortis Engine is still unfortunately not reached us. As soon as we were in range of something other than Melkoffs, we used Usirians on it, and that slowed it down to a crawl once more. That's actually a pretty neat combination to purposely keep a critical unit like this away, as in the Melkoff slows it down by a fair bit, and then we combine that with Usirians. And it effectively drops its movement range or speed down to basically nothing. Without their Mortis Engine, the undead host has little to no hope and has begun to melt away. Not that they had ever any hope of really bringing down our Hyro Titans, especially with Thutep buffing them. 48% ward save on these guys. 120 armor, another 20% physical as well, so yeah, the basic undead could have mobbed those Hyro Titans for a long time and never done any real damage. Another decisive victory, but more importantly, a decisive theft of the Book of Nagash. What's ours now? A liberation. Alrighty, there we go, no problem at all. Thutep getting a solid 41,000 damage. Not surprising, considering he's a Casket of Souls, plus has access to 3 vortexes in his final state here, which is pretty darn solid. Got 19k damage on the best performing Hyro Titan right there. For the, looks like all the way on the left flank, Petra's Sunblessed Blades held the ground and did plenty of damage there, and yeah, there we go, very nice, and solid 19k damage out of Pandora's box. The last book is retrieved, and with that we bid farewell to Thutep and Petra's Sunblessed Blades, the phalanx of Petra, little Hyro Titans, the Etcetras, the Hand of Geheb, and is that it for this particular army? Pandora's box I already said, but yeah. Alright, very nice, and I guess we can endless march, it doesn't really matter, because you're ending your campaign here. There we go, 8 out of 8. Couldn't end it without seeing that look like that. And yay, a free army capacity. Would have been lovely in the much earlier game. Huh. Funnily enough, we don't have enough jars to get another one of these, though we have plenty of the cash, but anyway. It's always the jars that gate ya at the end. And the last thing is Cetra. Alright, I'm going to hope that Trutch Craventail or another full stack is here at Crookback Mountain to give you a final fight. It's a bet. It's between this and Gribbletown. Kinda hard to say which one it'll be. I guess Orator for you? Yeah, why not? Everybody in Cetra's little coterie is also maxed out now. Magic stability, experience. We got 2 points to play with. Yeah, I get the free 10 armor, why not? Make your teensy bit tank here. Righteous Smiting doesn't do much for you. Let's just get Retinue Physician. It also does nothing for us at this point because we have max healing on every army, so whatever. Full plate armor. Though funnily enough, the Devastating Charge would have been helpful for this particular Necrotect in this army and all that, but all good. They have plenty of charge anyway. Alrighty, final battle. Let's see if in fact there is a full stack here or not. Come on, big money. Alright, what do we have here? Settlement garrison and a full army, and a better full army than the one that was over there. Unless it is in fact the same army. I don't know. It's a lot of storm vermin and stuff. I don't remember what was in the other army. What I do see is that this is a very elite pile of rats. We got also a lot of weapons teams and a lot of storm vermin with halberds, mind you, making it dangerous for our chariots. Plus 2 Hill Pit Abominations. Oh, and I guess 2 Doom Wheels as well. Gonna watch out for those warp lightnings. They can easily kill off the chariots with, well, ease, as one does. We have a Rictus Clanstone, which I guess doesn't impact us too much. And yeah, just basically like a full stack of storm vermin. Gotta also make sure we bring down those rattling guns and stuff. Oh, the stone trolls are gonna be annoying because they can block off our units. Anyway, I think this is great because Crookback Mountain is the capital of Rictus, and it's appropriate that we'll have the final battle for Cetra right there. The last thing we gotta do then, Cetra will carry the campaign home. Alrighty, Cetra dominates all one last time in this final fight for him. And I'm glad that it's against Rictus here. It's nice to essentially break the strength of another powerful faction on the map, like we did with Malice Darkblade and his armies, without essentially going through the process, the extra like 20 turns of going and cleaning up his faction, because obviously they still have a lot of territory remaining. But losing their capital and one of their main stacks is probably going to be pretty bad for them. But I digress. We're going to start the battle off with Cetra moving in by himself again, and as usual, he doesn't care. He's effectively invincible against, well, pretty much any regular army. There might be some specialized armies that might be a danger to him, but we have not certainly run into one, and the type of armies that would probably be like a bunch of very powerful single entity fighters that could mob him and have very, very high melee attack and defense. Even then, it's probably not going to be good for them. But anyway, looks like Cetra moves towards the Master Assassin and basically kills him off down to 10% HP and just keeps pushing him around with his chariot there. And here come the rest of the enemies. We have left the rest of our army behind, as we're going to let Cetra menace the enemy army, but let the rest move towards him. There we go, he's done this before to the rats. And of course we could cast a Skullstorm right upon all of this and just to do horrific amounts of damage to them, but we're not gonna. Why clear the enemy out with spells and when we can allow all of our army to fight, especially considering the amount of elites and the fact that pretty much the entire enemy army is storm vermin. We should be having a pretty good fight for the rest of our army. I'm actually quite curious to see how effective our chariots are going to be here. Anyway, the enemy, a Warlock Engineer, moves towards Cetra, and Cetra's horses promptly take about 30% of the HP in bites out of that Doom Wheel. Ooh, Death Globes, you probably shouldn't even be attempting to fire at Cetra. You're going to do way more damage to the rest of your army than you are to him. That one little rat goes flying. Alright, Warlock Engineer down to half HP and shaken. I would be shaken too. Cetra's at full HP and taking effectively no damage from anything here. Yeah, basically the only limitation with Cetra is how much damage he can do with a single chariot. Otherwise, the enemy army has no real choice but to ignore him, and because they can't really do anything to him. It's quite neat, isn't it? Anyway, looks like the balance of power is in the enemy's favor, and almost all the enemy units have arrived on field. There are 40 units on screen, and then one more Plague Claw Catapult, and to move up here later on. Cetra gonna charge through those storm vermin with halberds. And just for fun, of course, and while the storm vermin with halberds would be very, very dangerous to the other chariots, not so much for Cetra, especially with his speed and strider and a pretty solid mass. And sends a rat ogre flying too. Ooh, look at that sudden acceleration, pretty nice. Alright. And Cetra will just keep on having fun with the enemy while they approach the rest of our main army, and maybe take the opportunity to kill off the Warlock Engineer and maybe even stop those artillery pieces from firing if we have the time. They are otherwise going to be annoying, and I do believe they are planning to fire on our other units. If they were to just plink away at Cetra for the entire battle, they wouldn't really do anything, even the warp lightning cannons. But against our Sphinxes, considerably more threatening. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Cetra could just win this fight on his own, but I mean, at this point in time, he can win most fights on his own, so yeah. Anyway, it would just be very slow. And I did admittedly consider just having Cetra do it himself, but I feel like he wouldn't do this sort of thing himself. He'd certainly use some of his minions to do some of the work. Anyway, time to move towards the artillery pieces. Cetra's horses devour one of the actual artillery pieces, and it looks like one of the plague claw catapults, while the warp lightnings start firing away at the Sphinx of Usek, which with additional shots smashing into Loyal Bones and Sons of Horus. And behind them, the enemy warlord arrives to the Sphinx of Usek, immediately losing about 40% of its HP to those arm blades, and then attempting to run away. The Sphinx misses, and maybe we'll give chase to the Warlord for a little bit before returning to the main line. Looks like we have the first of the enemies arriving, some Plague Monks smashing into the line of Tomb Watchers here. Probably should have attempted better to go and attack the halberd variants rather than the sword variants, as they should have no problem with you, really. Trolls move on in, but they have notoriously low leadership and rout very, very quickly against the line of Petra and the first Legion of Khemri, though it does look like the enemy has arrived with some of those weapon teams. Time to use the chariots. The regular chariot's going to charge right through the enemy formation and smash into those weapons teams, while over all the way on the left flank we try the same thing with the other chariots, and Khemri Drift unfortunately got caught by these units, or at least one of the units of Storm Vermin, though I think the Doom Flayers got in their way as well, as we can push aside some of the Storm Verms but can't quite do the same with the mass of the slash models of those units of Doom Flayers. Anyway, Cetra going after the next Doom Wheel. It's not getting away from him because he's far too quick. And perhaps the horses can devour that thing on the go. It's actually pushing the Tomb Wheel. Alright, well, nobody tells Cetra I called him that, but he's acting as the pump rat now. Anyway, over on the left flank we have a massive amount of enemies that have surrounded our tiny amount of Tomb Guard, a single unit of halberd variant, together with a Tomb Bark and a War Sphinx, are trying to defend themselves against all this, including a ton of Storm Vermin, Doom Flayers, and a Helpit Abomination. Might even have to withdraw them a little bit and move them towards our main line. We are starting to take damage, about 80% HP on most of our Tomb Guard at this point, and we are starting to get a little bit isolated on a few units. And though admittedly we are at least somewhat doing this on purpose, just to allow every single unit to fight for a little bit. Not using any Skull Storms on the enemy with our mages, as in with Cetra or the other mage. Of course, similar to the battle with the Carrion and one of the other battles, like Kalida's, we could clear a ton of the enemy with spell work, but I see no real need to do so. Cetra did use one Skullstorm to clear out one of the enemy Warp Lightning cannons, but that was only to wait until the chariots moved in and did the rest of the work. Alright, now we're starting to take a fair bit of damage on some of our regular units, so it's time to essentially blob up a little bit. Now that the artillery are out of the picture, the enemy won't really be able to punish us all that much for it. Well, they still have their death globes and stuff, but Cetra can always move towards them, or we can send one of the chariots. The good thing about Cetra being in the blob like this is, A, he can provide these reanimation upgraded to everybody, and of course his unyielding will, or whatever the buff is called, the aura that he gives, the +8/+8. Somewhere in here. Air Command Dominance, and... oh, it is Unyielding Will. Good job, Ruinous. Anyway, Cetra moves on in, and quickly, together with the Sphinx of Usek, allows his horses to devour that Helpit Abomination. Isn't that wonderful? And the bounce power has shifted to about 70% in our favor. This is certainly a lot of rats, but it is the capital of Rictus, plus a solid rat stack. Again, nice to see elite stacks in the end game. A little bit weird seeing the giant pile of Medusa with Darkblade's forces or Darkblade's last army, but admittedly, if that was their only military building, it sounded like they had much of a choice. Especially considering we broke so many of their other armies. And the other armies were pretty great in terms of using Medusa and Shades as a combo. It's a very, very powerful combo. Alrighty, and there we go. It looks like the masses of rats have been cleared. They could, they did some damage, but at this point we've actually recovered a decent amount of the HP on a lot of our units, thanks to moving Cetra closer and having him reanimate them with a little bit of extra casting. Not to rely upon the Realm of Souls, as we will end the final battle without ever having reached Tier 3 Realm of Souls. Though somebody in the comments did point out that I think in the first episode, or in the very, very early portion of the campaign, we did for a second reach the third Realm of Souls tier, but that was just as the battle ended, so we weren't able to get any use out of the Ushabti anyway. It might have actually been after the battle ended, because sometimes units will get killed due to splash damage and, well, stray fire and anything like that. Anyway, we're just going to run the enemy down real quick. I just want to make sure that Cetra's final battle will see him collapse, or take rather the enemy capital here as well. Just on the principle of the thing, I suppose we could raise it as well, but you know, all good. A lovely final fight. Alrighty, there we go. A very nice final battle for Cetra, who once again proved to be an absolute menace on the battlefield, completely unstoppable, his horses devouring doom wheels and abominations and, well, really anything and everything that he ran into. I'm going to miss Cetra's absolute ridiculousness with that Chalice of Malfleur, effectively invincible and just obscenely irritating on that chariot. Plus, I'm sure the miscast base chance reduction for enemy spellcasters wasn't something that the enemy enjoyed either. Otherwise, it was a solid battle, and we did take a fair bit of damage, very dangerous for our chariots. The Khemri Drift one, for example, got caught by a unit of halberds for a few seconds and nearly lost half of their number. It's certainly something you gotta watch out for with the fragile Tomb King chariots. But otherwise, and great thing about that fight was everybody got to participate. All of the Tomb Guard getting solid amounts of kills and damage. 32k on the Mount Protectors. Very, very nice. The Sphinx of Usek had lower kill count than the regular Khemrian War Sphinxes, but higher damage delta's gold value. Unsurprising, the Bone Boat and the other Tomb Barks did well, and just everybody did well. It was a lovely time. Going to miss this campaign and this army, so let's bid farewell to the 1st Legion of Khemri, the Imperishable Guard, the Tomb Watchers, Loyal Bones, Mao Protectors, Sons of Horus, Title Keepers, Khemri Drift, Glory Chasers, Wheels on Wheels, Lion of Petra, Sekhmetra, the Bone Boat, Blessed Bark of Petra, and Boat of Charon. There we are, and okay, I'll just... principle of the thing, let's collapse the capital of the... oh wow. A water resolve of Clan Rictus. Beautiful. Alrighty, folks, there we go with that. This campaign does come to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed this finale episode. Lately, I don't really do these as much anymore, especially not for every campaign, as they take me basically a full day to record the finale. It's a crazy amount of battles and end editing and just hours and hours of that, as well as the end turn times and blah, 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 blah. So it's a rarity. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Frankly, view-wise, I probably would have ended this campaign at around episode 20, like Loke here, but you guys' engagement, just the likes and comments alone, kept it going all the way through 25, and frankly, we got a lot of the best battles of the campaign in the latter 5 episodes, as again, we started running into tier 5 enemy settlements with lots more elite troops in both settlements and armies alike, which you tend to get towards the end game and all that, even as people get tired, unfortunately, of seeing these same troops. Anyway, it's a pretty complete victory. We got the short and the long victory over a long time ago at this point, and we're actually closing in on domination campaign victory fairly soon. More importantly, we got all the books of Nagash, 8 out of 8. I guess Darkhan died with the last book, whatever. And was there anything else that we wanted to achieve? Oh, obviously we conquered and vassalized all of Nehekara. Everything here, and plus the Badlands, is all ours. All of the goals of the campaign effectively achieved. Got to try out most of the army compositions that I wanted. I really enjoyed Hakor's speedy Hawk Legion of Cetra, yeah. That was really fun. 65 move speed on these guys, 118 armor. Just a great unit all around, and I do enjoy that speed maxing, generally speaking, so yeah. Plus, of course, Wakoff's army, the Spokal Stalkers, and the Skeleton Horse Archers did really well as well. We didn't get to do the Petra Fire Army, but honestly, once again, I felt like it was going to be a similar sort of repeat of the other armies, and thus wasn't the most critical thing. But nonetheless, next time I play Tomb Kings, I'll do that, plus Khalid's more archer-oriented faction. We'll start with those next time around to get them more playtime. Oh, and of course, while Wakoff doesn't join the community canon because he's already a canon lord, like an actual canon lord, we got the Lash of Thutep, my first stolen artillery piece, and I'm still super happy about that, and the Lash will be once again immortalized in the canon. Anyway, we've got also, let's see if there's anything interesting in the statistics. 116 turns. I mean, gold and stuff doesn't really matter for us. 15 armies. Now, funnily enough, probably less armies than some campaigns due to the limitation. It's kind of interesting with the Tomb Kings. In the sort of early game, you have less armies, and in the mid game, you have more armies than everybody. And then in the end game, once again, you potentially have less armies, at the very least, compared to other player factions, which don't have the jar limitations. 339 victories, 3 defeats, primarily, minor settlement battle defeats, which would have been auto-resolves. Very nice. 199 settlements. Oh, we should have gotten one more. But all good. We can all imagine Cetra getting the last of them. Anyway, thanks for sticking with it all the way to the end, guys. And once again, last time, bid farewell to Cetra, Great King, the Imperishable, Khemri Kara, the Great King of... I'm just messing with you. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.